Attention. Please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Who knows?
Is he part of the snap?
Does he
the snapping?
Yeah. And the thing is that they don't.
The snapping.
Nerd On.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve. We're all levels of work. Nah, damn it, like Corey.
Haha, what is?
Hold on, we're all levels of nerd are welcome, but it doesn't
over.
matter because half of you are going to die anyways. Spoilers.
Wow.
But which half?
Which half?
It's randomized.
I know.
I'm so happy we have the little spoiler tag
Yeah.
before
Of
the
course.
recording
Yeah,
starts.
everyone will be destroyed.
So
BT dubs, spoilers.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't
Spoilers.
hear
Spoilers.
the spoiler
It's
alert,
playing near you right now.
I'm gonna
It's gonna play
preface-
for the next 3 fucking months.
Also-
so go see it.
Spoilers for Thor Ragnarok, Guardians 2.
Spoilers
for the last
all
10
of
years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last
How's
10
that?
years of your
But
life
I know
is
like
spoilers.
people might not have like seen those.
Well, too
They're
bad.
I
kinda
appreciate that.
recent.
Just assume there will be spoilers for everything in the MCU.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, we're talking about Infinity War today.
Yes, we
and
are.
Before we get started, let's introduce our hosts. I am
do it.
Tom.
I'm Corey.
Ali.
Caitlyn.
Josh.
And
Is that an extra voice?
yeah.
It is.
So this
Welcome
is
to the
our
show.
Hi.
our first big
1, 2, 3,
announcement
4,
or
5.
introduction. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of like very much a comic book stuff. You have the huge crossover event, and then you introduce the first appearance of
And the crossover event is a female.
If you were a Patreon member, you would have already known about this.
Yeah.
But
They had a
now
little
this
sneaky
is for
peek.
everybody.
Well, we did kind of publicly
We kind of
announce
publicly
it.
talked about it. Yeah.
And had a live stream.
Or I should say, if you're a Patreon member, you would have already had a conversation with her.
That's
or listened to
true.
our conversation
That's
with
true.
her.
And the Discord chat,
Yeah.
where you can chat with all of us if you are a patron.
Speaking of which, this episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at Patreon.
Indeed it is.
Patreon.com/nerdonthepodcast.
Check it out.
Check
We got
it
some
out.
sweet stuff.
Check it out.
We get to do so much because of our patrons.
We
Yeah,
do.
It's kind of amazing. I
We
mean,
even-
I'm here because like things are happening, which is solely due to your patrons making things happen.
Yeah.
And you guys making things
Progress and
happen.
growth.
But
Our patrons
It's a
even
team
allow
effort.
us to go see movies that somewhat crush our souls,
yeah, lots of that.
but also lift us up, but also
Yes.
bring us back down.
Bring us back down a little bit. Yeah.
And then wipe half of us out. Anyways,
Yeah.
so let's get us started with the show.
Let's do it.
Avengers Infinity War. Initial reactions, everyone. What did you guys think? What did you all think about the movie?
There's no
Only
good
half
way
of
to.
us can answer
I didn't
that.
say kick
There's
names
no
and take
good way to
ass, all right?
approach.
No silence on that part.
I'll go. It was a lot. Like, to put this in perspective for anyone who's listening who hasn't followed along with the MCU for as long as it has, this is an event.
10
This
years.
is one of the largest cinematic events in history.
This is the largest.
It is the largest. It
I would
is
say-
10 years worth of films culminating to this moment here.
The Marvel
Yeah.
MCU is the most lucrative franchise in all film history.
Yeah.
And
Well, even profits aside, like this is a huge thing. Pavement was laid 10 years ago for this building that is the Infinity War to be built.
well, everything
So far,
insane.
10 stories.
Yes.
No, it's 18 stories, right?
Yeah.
18 films,
So many.
10 years, 18 films. I mean, it took from 2008 to make Iron Man to 2012 to make Avengers. So it took 4 years to make one huge
Were
crossover.
there a couple recasts? Yes. But the
course.
big ones, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But then immediately 2 years after that, 2014 or 2016. No, yeah, 2012 to 2016.
Yeah.
We saw Avengers Age of Ultron. And then 2 years after that. So quicker and quicker, we saw more and more Marvel movies coming out. So
Oh, yeah.
everything they do is just record breaking. Everything they do is setting a new precedent for what can be. No one ever thought that Marvel was ever going to make a studio, and everyone ever thought you could make a movie with multiple heroes crossing over to different.
That'd be too
movies.
much.
Like again, like I've said this before, Law and Order now. You know, that cable television show now has crossover events with other like crime time drama movie
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
Well,
crazy.
that's
Just
true.
kind of what the MCU is doing to our modern media.
Yeah, it's setting precedent that like not too many other franchises have successfully done. Or I should say companies have successfully done, but they somehow managed to pull it off.
And now everyone wants a piece of that pie.
Yes, they do.
And
So go, Corey.
But as far as first impressions of this goes, it exceeded most of, if not all, my expectations of this film. Like, as far as my expectation goes, there was a lot that happened that I'm still processing. To be honest with you, like I'm
Me
still
too.
like, and I've seen it twice now, and I'm still going, wait, what? How, but then how can? But if they don't, wait, what? That's like, I'd say that's
Yeah.
a large portion of my reaction.
Talking like Vision.
Yeah, I know, right?
That was kind of like when I was trying to gather my thoughts on what to talk about. I was like, oh yeah, but wait, this storyline was going on while this one was going on.
Yeah, it was. I'm impressed most of all that they kept so many storylines very clear.
Yeah.
It didn't feel convoluted. The structure never got lost. Like there was never a part where I was like, hey, what about the fucking thing that happened like 10 minutes ago? It was, they treated each story very well and gave them ample screen time to tell what they were trying to do with each one until they all came together. So, did I have my qualms? Yes, but we'll get to those later.
Yeah. I had a very positive reaction. Like I had such a good movie going experience, of course, opening night, all that good stuff. But the one thing is like, of course, warm feelings whenever you see your favorite characters on screen again, favorite actors on screen again. And overall, I was very impressed, again, just like you said, with their ability to maintain all these storylines and to make it cohesive and to make it all kind of come together at the end.
Spin a lot of plates.
Yeah, spin a lot of plates. And for them to be able, and this is just a fruit of no other movie or movie series or whatever can do this, but the power of just two characters looking across the room at one another and like saying like one word.
Hi, Nat.
And hi Nat, and having it like speak volumes.
Oh yeah.
Because you've seen
that, you know what it means.
Well, that's
and,
the 10 years
and
in-
they're afforded
in
those
motion.
things to let them move on with the story, move on with the movie.
Or when Loki says Odin's son, you're like,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, that's initial.
Can we call her C Money? No, you're C Money.
There's
Corey is
qualms.
C-Money.
I have qualms
easy.
like
I can give
you
it up.
do, and I think we might share some of the same qualms.
Probably.
It's
From
my
what
favorite part of the
I'm
show. We'll get
hinting
there.
at, but
Tom won't let that pass. You know.
Oh,
This
man.
shall not. Okay, go
You
ahead.
both, you guys have already been so poetic about it. I'm just like, yeah, it was good.
Yay. That's fine. That's why you guys sit next to each other. I like the movie.
I like
Really
the
likes-
movie.
Yay.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not as into comic books and stuff, so I've just kind of casually watched all of these movies and then seeing it all come together. I am definitely impressed. I actually did miss one of the Marvel movies. I missed Civil War.
The one to
only
not
one.
miss.
It was literally
my body.
the only one I missed. But I feel like even though I missed it, I got it. I didn't miss anything by watching this movie because they kind of wrapped everything up. Would I have a more deep and personal connection with some of the characters if I had seen Civil War? Definitely, 100%. Some things would have sunk a little more, but because I've seen all the movies before it, everything really had a lot of impact, like Odin's son and Hey
Yeah.
Nat and that kind of thing.
Well,
So
I think Marvel's always kind of been really good with that, where like they've made movies that really anyone can enjoy and watch. But if you are a fan and you've seen it, I always say that say this about Arrested Development is one of these shows as well, where you can
Shout
watch
out to Anthony and Joe Russo. Oh,
Yeah.
oh wait.
You
Those are the
can-
directors.
Arrested Development. You can watch any episode of, and it will have jokes for everybody. But if you've been watching the series the entire time, you're gonna get 10 times the amount of jokes or references or whatever that you would otherwise. And
Like-
I think Marvel's been the same way about that. It's like someone can go see this movie and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like Lucille.
But you are going to have, like you said, those deeper feelings and deeper connection to these characters, having spent the last 10 years investing yourself in these things.
yeah.
yeah.
And they almost had to make that decision of like, it's okay to make references to things and not explain the references that we're making because of the kind of movie that it is.
Yeah.
They kind of had to do
And
that.
I did see some people online complaining about how this was a little less exclusive than their previous films. But like part of me is like, yeah. Because it's like the
This is the
finale.
this is the
like-
End all
crossover
be
event.
all.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is the crossover event. I mean, compare it to Age of Ultron, where it was a 2-hour-long commercial for Phase 3. Or Phase 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
And that's the one thing that I found that was like the most irritating because like they kind of put Joss Whedon in a corner and they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, you have to just pretty much like do the legwork for the next films. Where this one was kind of like all the films come to this. Like
Yeah,
what Tony
yeah.
Stark said, it's like I know Thanos. Like Thanos has been in my mind for 6 years. Like we've all been waiting for like since Avengers 1 to get to this point, and it can be like as exclusive as possible with the Thanos storyline, but as inclusive as possible with you're bringing in the Vision and Scarlet Witch romance. You're bringing in the Nat and Bruce Banner romance, and you're bringing everything that all the characters have as like a
The
balance.
Captain America and Iron
To your
Man
point,
romance.
Ultron felt like
Yeah.
the beginning movie of Phase 3,
Yeah.
as opposed to the end of Phase 2.
I'll talk about a little bit of my reactions of it. I've seen it now 3 times, and
You have seen it 3 times.
Trace,
man.
count them 3 times. 3
said
for
Trace Quattro?
One, 2, 3, 4. One for each
two.
Avengers movie. I've
Okay.
seen it.
You need to see it 2 more times to get that.
Yeah.
gauntlet.
It was good. I really kind of tried to see what the Russos were going to do with the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Civil War was their first go. You know, they did Winter Soldier, but like Civil War was their first time they had to juggle multiple characters. You're juggling like 16 heroes.
And they did Civil War in this back-to-back filming, right? Pretty much with very little time in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Like
they're
months in
and they're
between.
doing part 4 or part 2 for Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
So
Now,
it'll be
right?
very interesting. And the one thing I said about Civil War is that it's the Civil War by Brian Michael Bendis story, except everything that's Civil War.
Mhm.
It's just the name.
Yeah.
Other than Cap and Iron Man, fighting it out. And then this had the same kind of feel where it's like it's everything like Infinity War except the movie itself.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the opening sequences. I talked to Josh about this. Like opened the same way like how Infinity Gauntlet started, but it was this is MCU's run.
Exactly.
Mhm.
This is MCU's run of what the Infinity Gauntlet
What those events
storyline would
were.
look like in the way that they can. And I like to say like this: the Russo brothers took a piece of dynamite, they took all its parts, and they scattered it around all of everyone's expectations of what the movie was going to be, and then they blew it up. Because with this, no one will know what the next movie is going to be like. I talked to Josh. I was like, what's the point of reading the comics at this point? Because like what we know is going to be completely not true.
Completely
It's more for
different.
just like enjoyment of like comparing two different kinds of art.
Yeah, I mean, I could speculate like who might play what or what's going to happen
Right.
because like it ended the way the Infinity Gauntlet ended, but in such a weird way.
But the lead up to it too.
yeah,
was-
so
Should we throw some spoiler alert out there because we might talk about the comic book?
Oh, we already said spoiler.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
spoiler.
For the
Alright.
comic
people
book
know going
specifically.
in.
Spoiler time.
Spoiler rich stories.
Yeah,
That's the
why
way
not?
we
Just
give it to you.
assume we're gonna spoil anything that has to do with this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spoil the thing that's gonna happen 4 years from now. So, Joshy Josh, what was your reactions?
Much the same where I mean, sans I had to go see the movie with Tom, so I mean that was
Sit through that whole thing.
Because he's gonna make you rate it.
yeah.
And the whole time you're watching it, he's going, "What is Tom gonna make me say about this film?"
He's like, I just
no.
want to like it.
I really want to like it. But I had like Ollie said, I had a really great movie going experience. When something would happen, I mean, I would say
Audience.
we were in a pretty active audience
Yeah.
participation where they were like something would happen and the audience would be like, "Damn, what? Yeah." It's just like, yeah.
Did you guys also have a kid
So
crying
uncomfortable.
through your whole first act?
That was bad.
No.
No.
We had
Oh.
a
that's right.
toddler on the left and a baby on the right.
Then this guy just let his toddler run through the theater. It was
Yeah.
really great.
That
Totally.
sounds awful.
It was.
Shout out to that dad. Shout out to all great parents out there.
Here's
for
the thing.
keeping your
Better not
kids at
do that.
home.
Yeah.
I get that raising a kid is hard. I get it. It's one of the hardest things you do. But like, if you don't get a babysitter,
It's the one time you
You don't-
splurge on a
you don't
guess
go to the
what?
movies.
You don't go to the movies.
It's
That's just
also-
how it goes.
The one time that Corey has, I think, ever spoken up in a movie theater.
Yeah, I've like tapped people on the shoulder for being on their phones and been like, "Hey, do you mind? Like, I paid a lot of money for this," and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, sorry." But this is the first time that I eventually just went, "Bruh, no." And everyone else was like, "Yeah, no," and then they kicked him out. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I
I've
didn't
never-
tell on him, but
See, it's called
it was for
um,
45 minutes, and I missed the first. That's why I had to see it a second time.
what is that thing? Oh yeah, consideration for other people.
Wow, you got me with that one.
Oh,
It's
people
good.
make decisions. That
Sorry, I didn't mean to make it about this. That was
No,
just
no, no, no.
frustrating.
I'm-
For 10 years,
Can
I was waiting for this.
Can we please go on a tangent real quick?
Yeah, go
Because
for it.
I've never understood people. Now, again, you have said, Corey, raising a child is hard. It is. I get it. But there's a part of me that's like, why are you taking like your 1-year-old to Infinity War or
Right.
something? Or it's like, this is going to sound really heartless, but having a one year birthday party for a baby, I'm like, who's this for, really?
It's for the gram.
Yeah, it's for the gram.
I'm a terrible person.
But that was it's a pet peeve of mine when people talk through movies. So you
Yeah.
can imagine screaming is
Can't do
probably
it.
not on my list of things that is okay.
Can't do it. Me and Bonnie.
But
we'll
yeah,
lose our
anyway,
shiz.
I saw it a second time and I enjoyed it thoroughly and caught
Okay.
up what I missed in the first act that time.
But I loved it beginning to end. I am still processing some of the things because it is compared to, again, I'm coming off of the baggage of reading the comic books and kind of like, again, leading up to this point, of course, it's been completely different in how the Infinity Gems come to be and all of this kind of stuff. And so, but again, I think of this is their run. And so it's like, okay, cool. I don't care. This is fun. This is a run of this, and that's totally cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it from beginning to end. There was a lot to juggle, and I was a little nervous because I was like, I think I heard somebody said there were like 50 main characters.
It's some
I feel like that
close to
number
that.
got thrown
Oh my
out
God.
there because like the press release was like 64 characters will share the screen. I'm like,
Yeah.
I really
Who's
feel like
counting?
it
a
was
lot of
like
side characters.
who's really counting? Exactly.
Yeah.
I would guess 20.
Yeah.
At most.
Yeah.
Like main characters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's
To
a
me,
bunch of
main characters like 5 at most.
Yeah. Anyway, they juggled that really well. I think that they pulled together the story nicely. It was a 2.5 hour movie. They fit a lot into it. We'll talk about it in more specifics as we get along
Yeah.
into it, but I enjoyed it a lot.
I will give credit where credit's due. Since the Russo brothers came from Civil War to do this specifically, you felt it was very like seamless to
Yeah.
me. I think this is, and I'll say this out loud, this is what the DC universe wanted to have with Snyder, like directing these movies and then doing the Justice League, where the Russos were like, cool, we're going to do Captain America, which is the leader of the Avengers, and then do an Avengers movie so that it ties in perfectly that he's kind of spearheading like what's going to happen in the big crossover event movie of the year. And it felt, and I always liked how the Russo brothers handled pacing and handled comedy at the same time. There is a particular sense of bathos every once in a while, but I mean they juggle it in a way where I'm not like pissy about it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's when and how. I mean, we've talked about bathos on here before, and it does have its moments where it's very unwarranted and unneeded. But I think there are times where it is.
It's okay.
If it's done right, it can be good. Like we've said, the big example we use is when Doctor Strange is putting on his cape to like go fight everyone,
Mourning the Ancient One dying,
and then it like slaps him in the face, and you're like, who did that help? That didn't help character development at all. Like bathos can help character development. It can remind you of certain things. That did nothing.
But that's not what it's for. It's for, again, I'll bring up the theater experience. Every single time a bathos event happened while we were watching it, the audience broke. I mean, they were laughing hysterically, and that's who it's for.
It's when a movie can't be sincere.
I think
it's a crutch.
I would argue that, but let's get to the end with the qualms.
Yeah.
At that point.
Okay.
Cool. So let's do a little bit of historical significance.
Real quick.
I
Take us
mean,
through.
based on the
60
comic
seconds,
book,
go.
based on the comic book, I mean, things are all different from it. Is that there's no Fox properties. There's no Fantastic Four. There's no Galactus. There's no
X-Men.
X-Men. There's no Silver Surfer. This pretty much felt like
Why can't
almost
there be
a
Silver
good.
Surfer?
No Adam Warlock.
Maybe one.
Yeah,
day.
no Adam Warlock. This felt like a good.
That is true yet.
I don't know. This is not gonna happen. This felt like a good.
But
it's not gonna
You
happen.
know that.
Introduced him.
Yeah, as this weapon,
Yeah, that's true.
as this made up person.
It's not going to be Adam Warlock as we know and love him.
I mean, like we saw Bruce Banner play the part of Silver Surfer, falling into
Yeah.
Doctor Strange's house and warning Doctor Strange that Thanos is coming. That's what Silver Surfer did in the Infinity Gauntlet, and the run is pretty much the Infinity Gauntlet, not the Infinity War. The Infinity War happens after the events of Infinity Gauntlet, where Adam Warlock won. Adam Warlock is the character in Infinity Gauntlet that kind of shepherds all these heroes together to stop Thanos, and Thanos never interacts with Mistress Death. There's no Mephisto. There's no Eros. There's none of these people around.
Yeah.
Nebula's still alive. So there's a lot of differences.
Well, I
between
mean,
them.
here's the other thing too, and this is coming from a guy that I only read the comic books before of the Infinity
preparing.
series. Like, there's 3 comic books. The middle one has nothing to do with anything. The third one is called Infinity War, and the one that we're watching in the movies was actually called Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting to see that, because the way that this movie ends, you're kind of like for me as a moviegoer and as reading the comic books, I was like, now I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where part 2 is going to be, and like how because again, in the comic books, where the movie ends, where he's in his like little like cabin in the
House,
woods,
Yeah.
it's
how it
that
ends in the
actually
book.
happens in the comic book,
Yeah,
but
and he watched
he
the swans.
lost.
It's at the end of Infinity Gauntlet, pretty much he gets the Infinity Gauntlet, but then Nebula takes it, and then Adam Warlock's like, things went from bad to worse because Nebula has like been tormented by Thanos. They end up beating her, but then he loses the Infinity Gauntlet, and Adam Warlock gets it, and he's like, yo, I'm going to become this like good god and everything like that. And Thanos is like the one that actually helps Warlock get the gauntlet from Nebula. And then at the end of it all, like Thanos quote unquote dies, but you don't really know. And then Adam Warlock travels into the future and then sees Thanos is like just fine.
Nebula's still there, right? She survived in the movie.
In the movie, yeah, she's with
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
So I
on,
think
on
people
Titan.
are.
It's
I
just
think
her and
people
Tony.
are speculating that could still happen.
But also, they don't talk about the soul world, right? And that's like that little weird Chinese, Japanese archway thingy, whatever. And Gamora's there, right? And that we don't know if that's soul world or not, but that's where Adam Warlock is supposed to live with Gamora and Pip, who people thought Peter Dinklage was going to play.
I didn't even
also-
think about that.
Yeah,
In-
I
in
think
the-
that's the key.
In the comics, does the Infinity Gauntlet like start to break like it
No.
did in the movie?
No. A big difference as well is like when Thanos snaps, like you don't see people just like fade
They
away.
just-
It just snaps, and then like Peter Parker, R.I.P., is like swinging through New York, and he's like, something's wrong, and then that's what kind of sets the emotion for
different.
Earth's heroes
Uh-huh.
to galvanize each
Oh,
other.
baby.
But yeah, I mean, this has been fun. The movie's been great. It's good to see, like, and especially with the Infinity Gauntlet story with Jim Starlin, like, comparatively to Jonathan Hickman's run of Infinity. Infinity really introduced the Black Order. And that's what was a huge difference for me was like, oh, the Black Order is involved in this, and their power levels and all that stuff are changed. There's a little bit of difference between
Not even
them.
their power levels. Their powers are
Their
changed.
powers
in
are
the movie.
changed. Yeah, every Maw doesn't
Yeah.
have like this godlike, Professor Xavier Magneto kind of thing going on. He's more of like he's a sorcerer that like just tells you what to do and then like he controls you. Same thing with Proxima Midnight. Or no, Supergiant, but Supergiant's not even in it.
Yeah.
But Corvus Glaive, who has the spear, who like is the one pretty much just wrecking up Vision the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of dope because he takes out the entire X-Men.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's so cool. So there's such cool stuff there. But then
He takes out Wolverine in the comics like
Yeah.
it ain't no thing.
Whoa.
there's more Inhumans in that run and everything like that. But again, this is the Russos run.
But again,
Yeah.
this what we're seeing on screen is completely different.
Yeah, it
than
kind of has
what
to be. I mean, all the movies leading up to it were already deviations.
Right. So you had to kind of fit in within that world.
So the cool thing that Infinity Gauntlet, or at least the Thanos quest, tried to do with Jim Starlin was like expand the cosmic landscape, right? And I think that's what the Avengers so far of Phase 3 have been trying to do with Guardians and Thor and this one. So I mean, I really want to see in the next one that expansion to
I believe they're trying to spin off a cosmic universe.
because I mean now they're gonna have Captain
parallel
Marvel.
God, I would
MCU.
love to see them take another crack at Silver Surfer because
Now that
They
they
could.
have him.
I love
At
Silver
this point,
Surfer.
they could.
Yeah, I mean,
And another point at Galactus, which they fucked up.
well, the interesting thing too is that like
Hardcore.
the elders,
Angry Cloud.
the elders like Grand Master.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Angry Cloud. That's
what it was.
Angry Cloud. That's what
Silver
Galactus
Surfer's
was.
like, guys, watch out.
You're
There's
dead on,
such a
Caitlyn.
mad cloud. It's
It's
so
really
mad.
upset.
So mad at you.
Is upset and is hungry.
It's coming for her.
Angry Space Cloud.
I'm
Angry
sorry. That
Space
was
Cloud.
great. Continue.
But no, things like the things that I mean, I wouldn't. Would you call them mess ups or would you call them artistic liberties, like what they
What?
did with Mandarin, right? And they made him Ben Kingsley.
Liberties.
I call those missteps to me, like, and also with like
I
Benicio
call
del Toro,
Mandarin especially a misstep.
and Benicio del Toro and Grandmaster Jeff Goldblum were supposed to be like these elders,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to be like way more legit than kind
It
of
was
like
a creative decision, but
goofiness.
a bad creative decision.
I mean, again,
See, I don't see Grandmaster though as a misstep.
because you like Jeff Goldblum
Yeah.
Not
right.
even that though,
That's
because
me.
it fit the world they built.
in a
With-
comedy way.
Right, which is fine. But within Iron Man, that didn't fit. Mandarin didn't fit that movie.
Yeah.
It was starting to become of like the Bathos was taking over.
Yeah,
the
right.
universe.
So Thor
Well,
Ragnarok is a comedy where I wouldn't describe Iron Man as a comedy.
No.
So that's where that didn't fit for me. That was a misstep. Retuning Grandmaster to fit that in within their run made sense within their world. That's where that comes from for me, at least.
No, I don't like it still. It's fine. We don't have to agree.
We don't have to because it's
Agree
my
to disagree.
opinion.
Exactly. So we'll probably get to favorite parts of
Sure.
the movie.
Yeah. We can do that.
Cool.
Why don't you start us off, Tom?
Favorite part of the movie? Oh, geez. I think any part with Thanos. I really liked how Thanos was portrayed in this film. I don't know. Like it's also kind of one of my like. I don't know how I feel about the film all the way sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I think some of the best parts of the movie were like the parts where we're like, is this an Avengers movie?
Mm-hmm.
Is this not a Thanos origin movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was kind of like, I don't know. But
Well, it's like, is this an Avengers movie or is it a MCU movie?
Mm.
That's the bigger question for me because it's like,
don't
it's such a
give me that
departure.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
It's such a departure format-wise, quote unquote, from Avengers 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Obviously, they were different directors, but
Yeah.
still, like I would say, Civil War is more of an Avengers movie,
Yeah.
in some senses than this one because even if it's just something as simple as having the Guardians part of the mix,
Mhm.
that kind of it's the whole universe.
Yeah.
coming
Should
together.
just be called Thanos, Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was like, this is what the movie should be
Marvel,
called.
the movie.
Yeah.
This should be
But
Avengers.
you can't
Avengers 3.
unname the name.
Yeah, Thanos Rising or some shit. But yeah, I don't know.
But I agree with that.
I agree. Thanos was a great. I mean, like we've talked about this before on here as well. Is that Marvel has had its issues with villains. Marvel has had its very one-dimensional. Hey, let's spend a lot of time making sure our hero looks good, and let's just throw a villain in there that will make it look like the guy in the comic, but he won't act like it at
Well,
all.
and Thanos is the answer.
Right. So you've had what have we had so far? Loki, and almost Hela. Sorry. That she's been the closest, and they kind of slept on her a little bit.
Killmonger.
And Killmonger,
Yeah.
right. And then you have Thanos come along, and for me, Thanos is on par with Loki. I still find Loki to be one of the better.
There's a charm that Loki
tied,
has.
right? There's
Yeah.
a charm that Loki has, where he's tricked not only his enemies but the audience as
Yeah.
well, and I dig that.
Where I'm like, I'm interested and curious about what he's going to do next.
And especially his send off, like fighting till the end. I dug that. Like that
Yeah.
redeemed a lot for Loki. Like
Yeah.
so.
He saved the cat.
Yeah. So I think Thanos is right there for me with it. And he had like I said in the Black Panther episode, like Killmonger had a point where you're like, oh damn, okay, so I see where you're coming from. It makes it really hard for me to hate you because
Your logic isn't as faulty as
and
I
it's not
thought it
that-
was going to be.
It's not that what Thanos is. I agree with what Thanos is doing, but he's not. It's not that it's not thought through, right? He's thought this through a lot. He has
the
reasoning.
means don't, or the end doesn't justify the means.
Right. He has a lot of. I talk about. Shout out to Matt Farkash real quick. We don't agree a lot on film things, and we
Yeah.
have great conversations about it. But his opinions are never unwarranted. They're always backed up by a lot of things he's thought through and felt. And I felt the same way about Thanos. Like I was like, damn, he's thought this through, and he almost swayed me at a few points. And I got to go, no, but you're killing half everyone, so no.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think along with those favorite parts, I don't know, it's weird because like Thanos to me is the main character of the film, and to me he's the hero of the film. His characterization by Josh Brolin is like
Heroes
it's
is a
great.
harsh word for that.
Chucky's
He's
the
the
hero.
I would say
Chucky's the hero of his own movie.
At best, I'd say anti-hero.
Anti-hero, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Chucky's the hero of his own movie, and Jason. and
Anti-hero.
all the Halloween movies, all the villains are the heroes of their own
character.
No, they're not heroes.
They're heroes to me. But also, I mean, I liked this interpretation of Thor, and like I've said before, the Russos know how to take care of Spider-Man. Like this is how I've liked Spider-Man. Like this way, like he wasn't overtly like needy or needing Tony Stark to tell him what to do
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
He grew up a little.
He grew up.
He wasn't an asshole.
He became an Avenger. Ting
Yeah.
ting.
He wasn't an
Oh,
asshole,
Avenger.
and he
Oh.
didn't cry and look like he's pooping himself. He was the good Spider-Man.
So you're okay.
He got his.
Tom and I both got something out of it we wanted.
He got his aunt the eggs. And I mean, and I wished I saw more Cap, but this was more of a I saw more Tony Stark in it, which
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
But Thor, Tony Stark, and Thanos, any of those sequences with them, like, were pretty much my favorite parts.
I agree with a lot of that. There was one thing about Thanos that I'll build on. I agree with that point about Thanos as well. There was one line that we heard in the trailers, but seeing it within context gave me goosebumps. Seeing how sincere Thanos was when he said, "I hope they remember you"
Oh, yeah.
to Tony
Yeah.
Stark gave me goosebumps because I thought it was like a snarky one-liner from the trailers.
Yeah.
But when he said it to him, I was like, "Oh damn, he really
Yeah,
hopes they remember him."
I agree because I saw the trailer.
I hope they remember you. And I was like,
Probably,
oh,
I think
shit.
it was probably today, and I was like, whoa.
So different.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah, once
you
different
know.
once you've seen it. You're like, bitches, you don't even know what you're in
But like
for.
that's that part of Thanos that you're talking about where he could be almost a hero because he's like he does respect certain like power levels and shit like that. Like he's not an evil dude.
Spoilers. In Infinity series comic book, he becomes a hero. So it's
There you
pretty
go.
interesting.
Can I just want to speak on that because
say that. Speak.
And so again, I'm on the third of this of the original Infinity
The Jim
series
Starlin
they've
run, yeah.
and I'm on the third one, and maybe less than 10% into the book, you're finding out that Thanos is the good guy, is one of the good guys, because he's had a kind of an epiphany. Or like
This happens when you get all the stones.
Well,
sometimes.
the thing is, like, he was
You bend reality, yeah, it
he
can
was
happen.
introduced with Adam Warlock at first, and Adam Warlock was created to be this like perfect human or perfect being,
Right.
And then Adam Warlock became like space Jesus, and then Thanos got brought in, and he was like this small little meager purple dude. And then the thing is, like, later on, what you find out is that Thanos is this cold, like calculated, like just this person with so much conviction to do what he believes is necessarily right, that you're like, this guy is a G. And then you find out that he's talking to Mistress Death. You're like, oh, that's not good. And then you find out like, she's like, I want you to kill half the population. He's like, for you, babe, got you.
Yeah.
And then, which is completely different than his motivations in this film.
Which made me like him more.
Exactly. His motivations were so like,
I want everyone to live and so to do that.
I want
we
them to have
kill.
full bellies and live in paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other favorite moments of mine include Thor joining the fight in Wakanda. Badass as
That's
shit.
huge.
That was
It
beautiful.
was a hero moment.
that was an O moment.
I told Tom and Caitlin this, and I told my wife this when I got home. I was like, Thor, because of Ragnarok in this film, has gone up like tenfold in my book.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And Chris Hemsworth just looks like he's having a blast the entire time.
Yeah.
So that-
Man crush.
Yeah,
I've got
for
a man
sure.
crush.
Another favorite
Space
moment
Angel?
of mine, and I'll only do like one or two more, and I don't want to take everything. But there was this part where Peter Quill finds out that Thanos has killed Gamora,
Oh yeah.
and he's about to lose it. And out of the corner of the frame, you can hear Tony Stark.
Caitlin,
saying,
this is what you're gonna miss because you didn't watch Civil War.
you hear Tony Stark going, "Peter, cool it. We've almost got it. We're good." And it took me
Because they
until
almost won.
well, yeah. Well, the thing
that
is,
moment.
because in Civil War, he was feeling the same thing when he found out Bucky killed his parents,
Yeah.
and he lost it, and it
Yeah.
ruined everything.
And Baron Zemo was right in front of him, just a plate of glass blocking those three heroes, and then all of a sudden Tony just loses it.
Yeah. So in that moment, it's really nice to see Tony analyze Peter, not blame him at all,
Yeah.
but try to help him.
It's an emotional response.
And I loved that.
And that's why when, spoilers, Peter Quill dies, Star-Lord dies, he says, easy Quill. And then you see him just fade away. It's like, because you can tell like
Yeah.
Tony's just seeing like kind of like the fallout of all of like everyone's efforts. And then he's just like,
Don't take it out on yourself.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything. It's fine. My last favorite moment, there were tons I had, but my last one I want to give some props to Doctor Strange.
Okay.
So he sees
Yeah.
14.5 million,
and doesn't spoil it for anyone.
doesn't spoil it for anyone, 14.5 million different ones. They win one. In this scenario that he sees, he has to give Thanos the stone.
Yeah.
So he does this and banks on the fact that everyone left will do the right thing, trusts them. And all he says to Tony is, I had to.
This is the end game.
This is the end game. I had to.
This is
And
the
I
only
think
way.
that is a G move to be like, the only outcome, I give him this, and I hope the Avengers do the right things in order
Yeah.
for us to win. That one scenario. So that was sitting on that overnight and waking up and realizing that, like, props to Doctor Strange for that.
I really did not like the Doctor Strange movie. And then this made me
What?
like Doctor Strange a lot more.
I agree. It's
Well,
one of my
I
least favorite.
love Doctor Strange, the character in the comic books. I absolutely love him. But in the movies, I just did not like the characterization of him. And I didn't like how he just did Naruto ninjutsu hand moves. when he's,
You and
when
I
he's
will
just
have to
supposed
talk about this.
When he's just supposed to just have
later.
horns with his hands coming out. Like just Peter Parker's spider move and then flip it upside down. That's all he's supposed to be doing. But then this one, it made it look better. And it had more of like an effect when he's like, no, you're on Earth. And it's like, oh, he's ready to go. Versus like, and it's like, just stop. Just let's go.
It was cool.
So anyway, I'll
It was
stop
cool and I
there.
liked it.
I'll stop there. I could keep going, but Ali,
What up, C? Ollie?
Ali.
I think a lot of
Okay.
my
Not C.
favorite moments are kind of echoed exactly with you. The thing that stood out to me the most was Thanos dropping down.
pulling a moon and
Yeah,
throwing it
that
at
was
people.
pretty.
Oh, that was really cool. forgot all
He just
about
looked at
it
them and
this
was like,
moment.
nah, I'm going to throw that at everyone. And then he did.
And I was like, okay, because I think I saw a still of that somewhere, or maybe was it in the
It
trailer?
was
I
one of the
can't-
first.
It was a
like,
leaked trailer.
It was a leaked. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. And then I was like, oh, okay.
That's what we're doing right now.
And then Thor coming back with his axe. That was
Stormbreaker.
pretty memorable. I kind of shot up out of my seat for that one.
When he
That's
said
pretty cool.
Stormbreaker too, I was like,
Um,
Beta Ray?
but I think the number one moment was like where I knew, like, I was like, oh shit, like my
Damn,
brain couldn't even
damn.
process, like I immediately knew what that meant, but like I didn't want to accept what it could mean.
A single tear.
I didn't think, because I was the one who was like, are they bold enough to kill half of them off? Like when everyone was like, oh, like I think were we doing an episode for something else? I forget, but we were like, oh, they're gonna kill off like 2 guys.
Yeah.
And it was the moment where he's got the axe in his chest,
So I said you
and
die.
he's like, you should have cut off my head or whatever. What do you
Oh.
say
Should have
exactly?
aimed for the head.
Should have aimed for the head.
Should aim for the
Yeah.
head. And I was like,
And
wait, but that, and I was like,
yeah.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
Oh, and Thor, yeah. When Thor was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
But
He did
and
so
then
well.
my final favorite moment, because there are many,
Mhm.
is gonna be is Peter's death.
Really?
Like that.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Oh,
Yeah, Peter Parker.
I was like, no
yeah.
one cared about
Oh,
Peter. Cool
little
down.
baby boy.
But like, it was on purpose. The longest one.
Well, also
And-
the accepted fan theory for that is that since he has spider sense, he could feel it earlier,
He could feel it earlier.
and that's why
Okay,
it took so
fair
long
enough,
because
fair
he
enough.
felt it before.
well, because he
anyone
didn't.
else
Wasn't he saying, "Oh, I'm feeling a little different"?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before everybody
Yeah.
was
Spidey
like,
sense.
did.
Yeah, but just like him, and then like his embrace with Tony Stark, like his mentor for however long.
But also, it's like his pseudo dad now.
Yeah,
Especially because Tony was talking about like he wanted a kid. And He had
Yeah.
a dream
Mhm,
about
yeah. Well,
having a
also-
kid,
Yep.
and then his surrogate kid dies in his arms.
In Spider-Man: Homecoming, he says that he's like, "If you're here, if you're here, I'm responsible for you."
Mhm.
So,
So
go
when he's
home.
in space, he's like, fuck.
and
Now I'm
especially
responsible.
earlier, he's like, "You're now an Avenger,"
Yep.
and like just kind of that bond that's growing with them between them, and then like that embrace at the end. That was it right there for me.
I will say when Tony Stark, ting, ting, you're an Avenger
Oh.
now, and then he just paused on Peter Parker. Like
We
to
all
me,
cheered.
it was like I've
The whole
always
audience
wanted
cheered
a
for that, by the way.
Spider-Man to
Yeah.
be an Avenger, and
Yeah.
it's like Tom Holland is the Spider-Man that's going to be the Avenger. It's like,
I'll say also, I know we saw it in the trailer, but his spider sense, seeing that in the big screen was like
finally.
really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. My favorite moments.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of the stuff with Thanos is really good, but the Thanos and Gamora and getting the Soul Stone,
Yeah.
Oh,
getting
yeah.
the Soul Stone, mainly because like
She tries to kill herself and it's,
she tries to kill herself,
Mhm.
and like
Those
he's
tears
got to
aren't
be
for you.
so warped to feel that way. But also, part of me questions: was it in that moment that he's like, "Oh, I love her. Like this is
Yeah.
what
It was.
love is."
Mm.
I think he always knew.
I think he had an oh shit realization.
Well,
Yeah, I feel like that's what it was more than like, oh, I've always loved you. You've always been special to me. Like, really, she was just like a useful tool to him, I feel like, for a long time. In a way, he
It's like,
kind
of course I love you.
of course I love you.
Of course I
Yeah.
love you.
But then, like, in that moment, that's where he's like, oh, this is love. Like, okay. And the moment I realized that I have to let go of it, like, and this is what I have to do. Like, he really took that on as like, this is fate, and this is what my life has culminated to, is to have to kill
Yeah.
the thing I didn't know I loved this much.
And Red Skull goes, those tears aren't for
you. For him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those tears aren't for
That
him.
was like,
so good.
yeah.
But I mean, I saw that like a mile away. I was like, oh,
yeah.
she did. But I mean, in this weird way, like it's not a qualm.
I
but
think me and Tom held hands at that moment. We were like, we know what's happening right now.
I think in a weird way, like if there is like it's not like a qualm, but I would say like the weakest parts of emotional stuff that still struck so well, which actually, I mean, it's funny to put this point, like is just Star-Lord and Gamora making that promise, right?
Yeah.
That he promises that he's a killer. The next scene is that point where that promise has to come in.
yeah.
And then the part with Thanos and Gamora talking next to the throne, the next scene is him having to kill her.
Yeah.
So like in that time frame, you only have about like maybe 12 minutes of buffer to relax and reflect
Yeah.
on those feelings before things have to
Come
happen.
to fruition.
But the thing is, though, like in film language, that would be bad. But then this worked out so well because there's
Yeah.
so many different storylines going on, and then they wrote it in such a way, and they
Essentially
characterized
like 6 shorts.
Yeah, they characterize him in such a way that all the right hits hit you in those heart feels.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, because like I had like an editor's note, you know, of like the flashback should have just been the cold open for the whole movie.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And then go into the logo and all that stuff, and then that would have like maybe resonated a bit more because he kind of set it up right at the beginning.
Yeah, that would have been good.
But maybe they didn't because of like what you said, like this is a mass appeal movie and there's a lot going on in this movie and you have to make sure people remember the different things.
To pay it
That's
off.
why like
Yeah.
they have to happen like within 20 minutes of screen time.
Well, to jump on that point, like you said before, like this is like a very different format than all the other Marvel
Yeah.
films have been. If they had done that, where they had the Gamora being adopted by a Thanos sequence in the beginning, it would have coincided
More
to how-
emotional and stuff.
well, it would have been like how Civil War started,
Yeah.
where with Winter Soldier gets activated to kill the Stark parents.
Yeah.
And then it just goes into the Marvel, studios and all that stuff.
or like
'Cause
Peter Quill with his mom dying.
Yeah.
And then that goes into the studio. So like the emotional beats would have been there.
it's interesting.
I
But-
kind of like it in the more like compacted segment that it was, though. Just
It's easier to digest things and to be like, okay, now I can focus on this little mini movie for a little
On a
bit.
movie this
Well, and then-
scale, I
Move on.
agree.
they already kind of set it
Yeah.
up though in previous.
Which
it
leads
was
into my qualms.
in Guardians, where Nebula is always kept. Nebula said something along the lines of, "He always liked you more than me."
Well, Thanos even says it when
Yeah.
Gamora defects. He says, "You've lost my favorite daughter," and Nebula's there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's already kind of been set up to be an emotional thing,
Mm-hmm.
but in them, like, I don't feel like they should have hammered it much more than they did.
Yeah.
Josh?
Was that your only?
No, my other one.
Ooh.
my other
Yeah,
one.
Tom.
It's so small and silly, but it's just that moment where teenage Groot is like, "I am Groot," and Steve Rogers goes, "I am Steve Rogers."
Yeah. It made me.
Everything about that was so perfect for
Because
me.
Mama raised him right.
Yeah, he's
'Cause
so
Mama
well,
raised him
he's
right.
so
He's just so
genuine about
sweet.
it. He's just like, "Oh, I am Steve Rogers. Like, thanks for helping with
Yeah.
the fight, man."
In that
Yeah.
moment, I realized that it's like, oh yeah, this isn't Captain America: Infinity War like the last one.
Yeah,
'Cause we got so
Civil-
much more Cap in Civil War, but it's like it's called Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's the lead. Yeah, which
and
is
I'm
so
like,
different.
God, I want more
'Cause
Captain
I want
America.
more Cap.
Yeah.
I want
And
more
it-
Cap.
Oh, because that's
It
not.
also-
it's not technically an Avengers movie.
It
Right.
tied in his whole history.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like everything that I saw in this movie doesn't really remind me that he is from the time that he's from. But that one line was just like everything all at once,
That's
being
all
like,
you
"Oh
needed.
yeah, he came from there, and that's why he's doing this right now
he's
because
polite
he's so
and-
sweet and polite."
Yeah, that's all you need.
Another man crush.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
and
for
even
real.
more
that's my
with the
MCU.
beard,
That's my
long
MCU,
hair.
Chris.
I want to see if you say these, but I have one more other moment I want to talk about. Go ahead.
No, Josh, go.
Because you might
No,
say
you
it.
just go.
Okay.
I already got like 6, man. I'm
That's
sorry.
true. There were so many.
There were. That's why I keep going. I'm
There
so
were
sorry, guys.
so many good moments.
So sorry.
The reveal of Captain America.
Oh, when he catches Proxima Midnight
I just-
spear. So that spear can like neutralize people's powers, and it can go faster than like it can go like cross universes, and it's technically not supposed to be able to be grabbed. And so when he catches it, it's like a huge like nerd on moment where like your pants get tighter.
Copy.
telling you.
The dubbing of "You Are an Avenger Now." I know it was it was partially thrown off, like, oh yeah, and you're an Avenger now. It's just kind of like, hey,
It was to Tony, but to Peter, we all felt Peter's side of that.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he was
Yeah.
just like, because in his movie, that's all that he wanted. He really wanted to become an Avenger, and he thought that's what it was for. And now in this movie, it's like, all right, kid, you wanted the responsibility. The world is going to end.
I
Here you
almost
go.
felt like Tony's side of it is like, hey, we're fucked. Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But on
aboard the
Peter's
pain
side, he
train.
was like, oh shit, it's official. Everyone went through that, right? Everyone
Yeah.
got dubbed by Tony?
Since like what 2001 when Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire's first, we've been seeing Spider-Man longer than we've been seeing Marvel film, like
Yeah.
MCU. So it's like to me, I was like, this is it.
That was
this was
the moment.
Yeah, we all
finally,
felt
this
Peter's
was
side.
finally it.
But
The
you got to
reveal
laugh
of the
at them.
Iron Spider suit.
Oh,
That was
the
When the
funny.
legs come out, and
The
he was like, what are
legs.
these? What are those?
the legs.
Just
oh my
his
god.
childlike just fascination with all of his like different
Smells
gadgets.
like a new car.
And he's like, I'm not wearing hockey pants.
You slid that in there. It was good. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Wow, he actually
you.
stood up for that.
Because the context works, Tom. Come on.
Yeah.
But the golden legs are amazing.
Yeah.
For so long I've wanted to see that.
Every time Spider-Man got excited about something, everyone in the audience was getting excited
Yeah.
about
Oh, yeah.
something.
Oh,
It was he's great. I love him.
He fits
And I'm
so well.
Very sad that he turned into dust.
Magic with a kick.
Yeah.
Did you have another?
The moment where Cap is fighting back to Thanos. and you see it in Thanos' eye, like, oh damn,
He's like, he's a little strong.
I'm a little scared right now. And of course, the Thor reveal, like, and going right into his chest, like, and just the you should have went for my head, and then the snap. I was like,
You
because
called
again,
that.
I totally called that. Did I
on
not?
our Friends Life's a Binge podcast, you called that.
What?
That's where it was. Yeah.
Thanos at the very end, he would just snap.
It didn't end with that.
It didn't end with
but
that.
it was like 2 minutes more.
In
of the
comic book
movie.
world, it would have just ended.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this was very much a Tony Stark movie, and I feel like, to me, Tony Stark's evolution in terms of emotional and character was amazing to me, because I think he's had a realization since Civil War, and like somebody
growth.
mentioned that there's some growth where it's like,
Development.
okay, I fucked up, and now I want to make this better, but there's something bigger. But there was a moment when it was revealed to him that Thanos, and he was like, "What?" Because he had post-traumatic stress from all the events of
Tell me his
Avengers.
name again.
From
I
Avengers
love that. I
1.
loved that line. Tell me his name again.
Yeah, and so it was like, I love watching every moment where you got to see his growth, and I was like, because it's very emotional. And then when he almost dies, which I was very surprised he didn't.
Yeah.
But I was like, God, Robert Downey Jr.
He is Iron Man.
I'm getting
He's
goosebumps
so good.
because he's so good in everything that he does, and I'm so glad that he's. Yeah, it's been 10 years that he's been back into the world, but watching his older films, watching now, I mean, when he went through the struggles that he did in prison and
You've
all that
seen
kind of
Kiss Kiss
stuff.
Bang Bang?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he is
Steals that
so
film.
good
Natural.
in everything that he does. And this, you're like, oh, it's a comic book movie. There's some acting, bitch.
Yeah.
One of the deepest
he is-
acted characters.
He is.
So
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And
That's
when he
even a
was
thing to say.
dying, I mean, we thought he was dying.
Yeah.
Just watching his face, like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
you're so good.
I mean, he said it. He said in interviews with
Gonna be
Iron Man
okay?
3.
He said that out loud in the theater, and people were looking at him weird,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
He said in interviews in Iron Man 3, like his biggest like worry or his like most biggest priority is just to make sure that Tony Stark is interesting.
Yeah.
So you know that he takes this deeper care to the character. Like obviously everyone in the cast does, but you know it shines so well in that
Yeah.
shiny new.
I honestly
nanotech
think
armor.
Oh, yeah.
him and Chris
Yeah,
Evans,
pretty-
and now with Thor Ragnarok, I think the three of them really take their characters to another level.
that Trinity.
That fundamental understanding of their characters. The other moment I wanted to say is a moment I definitely like let pass in my mind the first time I watched it, but the second time stood out to me, and it's the scene between Rocket and Thor, where
Oh,
Thor
the
is kind of
captain.
telling him everything, and he's like, "Well, he's never fought me twice," like that whole thing, and Thor's crying and he's breaking down, and you remember that Thor's lost his mom, his dad, his
Everything.
brother,
His best friend.
his best friend, his entire like peoples are gone.
And we're murdered right in front
And you
of him.
have this sweet moment where Rocket, who's a fucking kleptomaniac who steals people's artificial limbs, gives him something. He gives him an eye.
Yeah.
And it seems like a very small thing.
But for him, it's.
But to someone like knowing Rocket from the past things, where his things is to take things, he's very, selfish person. Like I want all these things to myself and that kind of stuff. It was a touching moment to me the
He's the
second time around.
LaFlarces of that universe.
Yeah. I mean, like it was to me, it was a really touching moment. And seeing Groot give up his arm for Thor, like those two moments to me, I think I missed the first time, and the second time around, I was like, damn,
Yeah.
those have deeper meaning than I acknowledged.
Also,
Probably because
Chris,
the baby was crying. during
Chris Hemsworth biceps.
it. Yeah.
I should have
yeah.
worn the white pants.
They were
Yummy.
beautiful.
Right?
Kwame
Yes.
Qualms?
Kwame Quams.
Anyone have anything else?
Can I start?
Yes, please.
Just-
Only
'cause I
if you
never
talk in
start-
a low voice, like
in a low,
Peter Quill.
qualmy voice. Makes me think I know what your qualm is. Qualms.
Call my.
So we've talked about bathos
Yeah.
in this.
For those at home who don't know what that is,
I was
Oh
about to
no,
ask.
it's not going to be
I
one of my
didn't want
posts.
to.
I actually like that moment.
Film students.
It fit Peter's
well, it's
character.
a
well.
writing thing, and the main thing
Yeah.
is really that when writers don't find that their stuff will stick, when they're so serious and they actually, to me, I find it's a cop out, and it's been theorized and analyzed as it is, because when your content matter pretty much kind of falls on itself, you make fun of it, so that immediately you don't have to kind of handle the
It
repercussions.
makes it
of,
seem like you're in on the joke.
yeah, this is
So no one can make fun of you.
so you don't have to
Okay,
seem
okay.
you don't have to seem corny. Like the one big example is when the Guardians of the Galaxy galvanize themselves. They're like, hey, we're going to save each other and we're going to fight Ronan and we're going to get the power gem. And then they all start standing. He's like, I'm in. And then Raccoon stands up. He's like, I'm in. Now we all look like assholes.
Now
It's
we're
like,
all standing in a circle. Except that moment works for me. Because that's the
I
charm
thought
of
that
the
was
movie.
funny,
There's
too.
moments. There's
That
times
movie
it
is
can
based
work.
around
No, there are
comedy.
many times that it works.
It works, but that's just an example of how that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
There are
thank you.
examples where it doesn't
So that
work.
was a good example because also with Rocket, that fits his character.
That's his
Yeah.
character.
He's not going to be like, I'm in and not make a funny little.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
asshole
examples.
That's
quip.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's examples of action movies like Transformers, but is that a good example of an action movie? No. There's good examos of things. I'm just telling you what it
example
is.
of a Blur movie. You watch it,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa.
I'm just
what's
telling you what it
happening?
is. So.
Here's a bad example. When Bruce Banner, when Thor shows up and Bruce Banner just laughs without the Hulk helmet on going, you guys are screwed.
Yeah.
One of the smartest men in the world
Yeah.
is laughing like a 5-year-old child going, you guys are screwed. That didn't work for me.
Really?
Let that moment be badass as shit.
Yeah.
There
I feel
were
like
a
he's
lot
gone
of-
through some like.
If we want to go in
Mental
this,
stuff.
that's my biggest qualm. If we
Okay.
want to start
Yeah.
there. Bruce Banner going from
Slept on.
genius with some quick wit and some like, let's go toe to toe mentally with Tony Stark
Mhm.
to a 5-year-old child in a giant suit. It
I
worked
agree
in
with that.
Ragnarok because he's a fish out of water and his only friend is a thunder god. But in this, he's back on Earth surrounded by his team.
Yeah.
Yes, he's struggling to get the Hulk to come out, but like there were so many moments where I felt like because he was funny in Thor Ragnarok, they thought it would work here and it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't translate.
Also, in Thor, he had been Hulk for like what years?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Or-
years.
2 years,
2
wasn't
years
it?
or something like that.
Yeah, so he doesn't remember
So
it. It's a very
okay
fish
for
out
you
of
to
water
be groggy
situation.
and whatever.
But even the stuff he says there, he's still smart and he's not like when he's like talking about Tony's clothes being too tight. Like those are the kind of
Yeah.
jokes he made.
Yeah.
Where in this, it was a lot of like, "Hey, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards." Like it seemed weird to come. It was like Drax lines coming out of Bruce Banner.
Well, how long was it in between Thor and the Thor movie where he's Hulk for 2 years and then right now?
It's right after.
Yeah,
It's
So-
pretty close.
The end credits
But
of
in
Thor.
Thor, he's not an idiot. He's still smart and it's just a fish out of water because he's on an alien planet with a thunder god. Now he's back on Earth with all his friends and stuff like that. I still wouldn't say
He
he'd
should have
be.
immediately kicked into high gear and been.
He's not a
ultimate scientist
bumbling
man.
idiot. He's back in his element.
That's true.
Sure,
Yeah.
Hulk isn't showing up, but that's something he would probably confide in with
'Cause like in the
Tony
first
Stark or
Avengers-
whatever. But he doesn't talk to anyone
I
about
want
it.
Josh to pop off.
Yeah, Josh, what are you gonna say?
But in the
No,
first
I was
Avengers,
just going to say
wasn't
I
he?
disagree. Only because,
Mhm.
only because I'm thinking of it from emotional, mental health standpoint. He was, but listening to you speak about like Thor Ragnarok, he still had smart things to say.
yeah, he was a
Yeah.
genius. He
But
still put the
there's-
shit back together.
There's
Like,
a part of me that feels like he was thrown across the galaxy. He's
That's true.
he's been Hulk for several years now. I feel like he's got like his mental health. I don't think is very stable because of
Yeah.
everything that he's gone through.
And I hear you on
yes, he's
that.
a smart man, but I feel like, hey, some crazy will get into if you go through enough shit. The crazy will
Well,
come
it's
out.
kind of like he's going through the Iron Man stuff
yeah,
in Iron Man 3.
yeah.
It's like you say the
I
word
hear,
three
I hear that
times.
a bit, but I still think his character derived too far from Ragnarok. I think
Yeah.
it was still a bit too bumbling
Okay.
for me.
Well, even then, I've said
That's
it for
fair.
like different things where you have to suspend your disbelief. Just
Yeah.
give me one sentence that sets that up for me,
Yeah.
and I'm in. Like you don't,
Explain
Keep
it
it
a
simple.
little bit. Yeah,
give me a little bit of context, what's going on, and then you're okay. Because if you don't do that,
yeah.
it seems like you're doing a bad
Cop out.
making
Yeah.
a bad decision, cop out, et cetera, et cetera.
What I was going to say about this whole bathos discussion is that there were a few moments where I was like, just give me a little bit more of the moment.
Just give me 2
And
more
then-
seconds.
Then you
And
can
then
go
wait.
into
Yeah.
the Drax crunching on food.
48 frames.
Like
That's all I'm
just
asking.
exactly. I'm just asking for just a tiny bit because there were some very touching scenes that I was
yeah,
like,
the Gamora and Peter, cool. I did
that-
enjoy. I did
oh.
enjoy that though. That's the kind of stuff Drax was saying is
Yeah.
what Bruce Banner was saying for some reason. Like I half expected to see Bruce standing still, being like, "You can see me."
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a genius. You remember?
And then I have a really silly
Go for
silly
it,
one.
man.
Okay, so I felt like there was so much fucking CGI that there were some character parts that I was like, we can't just get a little bit of practical effects, like Practical
Example?
Midnight.
Well, there was one particular part, I don't know if you noticed this, that I really didn't like, and that was Bruce inside the Hulkbuster.
Yes.
At the end.
At the moment when he's like, "Oh, you guys are screwed," and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"He kind of looks like a floating
an
head."
overarching topic, not to interrupt your thing, but
Yeah.
why did Bruce Banner even have to be in the battlefield?
Why couldn't he be helping Shuri?
He's a scientist.
He
In
didn't.
Avengers 1,
Because they
was,
wanted to make
quote
that
unquote,
joke,
brought
man.
on to be like the gamma ray expert, and he's a scientist.
Yeah.
What he didn't? Why do you have to get into the Hulkbuster suit? Why did he
Because
have
they
to
wanted to make the joke.
yeah.
Who
Well, they
else
also-
is going to make that joke on the
They
battlefield?
also wanted to sell you on misconception of like the Hulkbuster is going to be used in this film.
They wanted the Hulk to fight, quote unquote,
yeah.
which is like okay, but
So Proxima Midnight, I thought could be a really cool practical effect, but
She looked like
So
Kerrigan
silly.
from Star Trek. So from
Thanos. Thanos, and I think I have a logical explanation for this.
Yeah.
You can make Peter Dinklage
a 12-foot
fucking
giant.
It's a qualm of mine.
but you can't make Josh Brolin just a little bit bigger in color and purple.
give him a chin.
You want
prosthetic.
you want
have
him
to make
bigger?
him. No. What I'm saying is they made a CGI Thanos.
That is
would've-
him, though. It's mocap.
Okay, but it's very CGI to me. What it
Interesting.
looked like.
See, I
And
thought
so-
the opposite. I thought it looked so good.
No, it looked good, but it was just like I can't get Josh Brolin and
You wanted like
Like,
his face.
I
You wanted like
his
a
face,
Hellboy.
But I have a logical explanation.
Hellboy.
you want like a
Marvel
Hellboy.
Deadpool 2 comes out in 2 weeks.
Uh huh.
Do we really want to have
Josh
Josh
Brolin
Brolin's
twice.
face twice?
Well,
in
they
a
also
Marvel?
matched it with the first guy to play Thanos at the end of Avengers was not Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I know.
So they're matching it to
No,
keep.
no,
Well, no,
it's-
even him was more purple.
Well, it was more purple, but the facial.
and it was much more
facial,
CGI too.
Actually, the
Mm.
first one's no CGI. It's all makeup.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look again because it looks.
The actor, yeah.
But
But I mean,
it's
it's
a behind
more,
the scenes thing where they talked about it's all makeup.
he got
first
Wow.
guy- first time.
if Avengers 1 is like, let's say neutral purple, and then in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Guardians of the
It's
Galaxy
like blue
1,
purple.
he's like really purple. He's like purple on the crazy level. And then this
Yeah.
one's like he's almost human color purple.
Well, they're like, we need to. Oh crap, we need to cast him, and then oh crap, we need him to look like a believable character that has emotions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I mean, like his face kind of has different troll like tendencies, like a more flatter nose kind of thing. But
Yeah,
I thought Josh Brolin looked great to me.
Yeah.
See, I didn't want that to be misconstrued as that it looked bad.
Bad.
It looked great, and I was like, wow. CGI is getting to a place that you're like, damn,
That's what
that looks real.
That's what Captain
It's
Marvel's
just that
gonna
I
rely
would
on.
like to see some things, but again, like I said, it's a stupid qualm, and I'm sorry I
So-
said it.
It's
Let's move
okay.
on.
No, you're good.
That,
No, you're-
that
Oh,
reminded me of another
Well, I
call
mean,
line.
did like Ollie and I were saying, I don't know if you heard it, but like, would you want more of like a Hellboy look? Because Hellboy's all prosthetic makeup.
Yeah,
So more
Actually,
like that.
yeah, I'd be
Okay.
down with that.
And
More
his body
practical.
has a whole cast too.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'd be down with that.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
I didn't like Peter Dinklage. I thought his accent was weird
Yeah.
and annoying. And I really just think they could have used an unknown and it would have worked better. I thought it was distracting that it was Peter Dinklage.
I agree with that.
Mm.
I liked him. I liked
him, but I agreed that it was distracting
think-
that it was Peter Dinklage because it broke the audience.
Yeah.
that it was Peter Dinklage.
because everyone was like, oh, instead of
Peter
like,
Dinklage
It's
is
like we didn't
huge.
need that.
yeah.
Instead of like, oh, it's a space dwarf.
If this was Thor 4,
Mhm.
maybe. But
Yeah.
in a movie with so much going on, we didn't need that distraction.
I see. What
It could have been an unknown. I think that scene would have had more heart to it.
Ollie Oxenfree.
Yeah. So on that note, if this was a Thor 4, so going into it, I'm like, okay, there's so much going on. They did a really good job of juggling everything. But I feel like that limited the depth of like plot mechanics
Mm-hmm.
that they could have
Okay.
had. Every
Explain.
task was simple.
Make
You
a
know.
hammer.
Mega hammer.
Get the stone.
Go get the stone.
Just go save the wizard.
Exactly. Like
Go get a
it
sandwich.
was
Yeah.
it was like, okay, you stowed away on the ship. So just
Not as simple as
be
you
on
think.
the ship. You know.
Mhm.
Go get the soul stone. But it opened up the room for a lot of emotional content, which was good. Which we needed, it kind of being a culmination of all the movies. But it and kind of going back to like the fight at Wakanda,
Mhm.
As awesome it was to watch, I was like, why is this here? It feels like filler in a movie that can't afford filler,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, but you gotta sell
'Cause
the ticket, you gotta sell the popcorn.
Well, because the actual objective is to stop Thanos from getting the stone. Yet we're having a war.
We're having this war
With,
with
like,
like
CGI
discount
monsters.
Chitauri, as far as I can
Well,
tell.
they're the Outriders. They're
Yeah.
They're,
Well, here's my
But I
guess.
mean,
Here's
to
my
me, it's like CGI blizzards or whatever the hell.
here's
they
my
are.
argument to here's just my argument to that, right? Because I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you, but I want to play the devil's advocate
Yeah.
for a second.
For sure.
They bring they bring a stone to Wakanda.
Shout out to Al Pacino.
Right.
The goal there is to get the stone out before Thanos can get there so they can take it somewhere without killing Vision.
Yeah.
They bring him there. However, what they don't account for is that they've been followed. So suddenly they got to defend it. So
Yeah.
as a plot point,
As a
I
plot,
think
I get it. Yeah.
it
for
made,
sure.
I guess it makes sense in a
It
way.
makes sense. But
Because
this
that's
is
where they have to defend the last Infinity Stone. It's
Yeah.
the very last one that he doesn't have.
This is where I do want to play a little devil's advocate on the
Shout out to
side of
Keanu
people who
So
myself
reply to his
reply
death.
not to him, but
Okay.
to everybody,
How many
including
devils are in this
myself,
room?
that says that they juggled all the storylines really well. They might have taken on like one too many.
much.
Okay, I could see that.
And for me, it was like, it goes back, and we talked about this during Thor Ragnarok, which was like, as fun as this movie was to watch, I feel it was 2 movies and it couldn't fulfill either half of it, with like the whole, Planet Hulk side and the whole Hellas side. They could have been
And
epic
Grandmasters.
separate movies.
Yeah.
I almost feel like at first I was like, did we need a Guardians 3 before this movie? And I was like, no, we needed a Thor movie before this movie where he could have gone off and
got the Stormbreaker.
and like that could have been the Hela movie where he goes and he gets the what's it called?
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker. Like he could have done that beforehand or something.
Yeah.
But of course, that has a lot of different plot
But
implications.
then where's his redemption?
Right,
And-
where's yeah.
and-
But I feel like because of like something should have happened.
There's
in a
need
different
one more
movie.
Marvel movie.
Yeah, there needed to be one more Marvel movie where it took a
Can I
load
say-
off of this one.
I think it should have been Cap.
A cat movie?
Maybe that would have been good.
Another cat movie?
Another Cap
Yeah.
movie.
I think another Doctor Strange movie.
Okay.
Ooh,
Would it be
yes.
like Cap, Vision, like Black Widow, like
Just
that
a
whole
little
plot
more
point?
of his I guess it's Nomad technically.
Yeah.
Where he is now because and maybe they'll get more into this next Avengers. I think it was one of you said like I wanted more Cap in this. I wanted to know, what have you been up to? You look badass as shit. Cuz he's wearing his suit but it's all black now. Like it's still got some of
Yeah.
the stars and stripes.
Well, he's ripped off
It's-
the
it's-
star.
it's
You
like
see
dirty
his
enough
tat.
for the red
that
to
I
be
know, but
muted.
like the red and white part is completely like covered in
It's
dirt
like super
and
dirty
gray.
or something. Yeah.
So
And they
I
mentioned like it's been a couple of years or something. like
yeah,
that.
I would
So,
love
Yeah.
to see that.
What you been up to?
Him and Black Widow like kicking it.
Because like as nice as it was for
Like a Secret Ops
for
movie.
Black Panther to be completely isolated
Mhm.
in its own movie,
It didn't help
it
the
didn't.
overall.
That's the thing. It's like because we all complain about like, oh, they have to put the plot line for the next movie, but it's like they kind of needed a little bit of that being so close to the next movie to Avengers they needed a couple things in there. I feel like they could have worked on the Bucky line a little bit more. Maybe he could have been a bigger part in Black
He got
Panther.
that badass arm and then he just died.
So yeah, I mean that was kind of like the general thing for me that I got out of it.
Okay.
The sense that I got.
I have a comment,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is like a violent change of conversation. Or
You
just
only
like
have violent change of
like,
content.
no,
Yeah,
it's-
that's all
it's
that
an
exists here.
asterisk.
How many asterisks? 5?
Yeah, maybe
6
like
for
5.
each stone.
Yeah. And I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts, and I want to say this in the most delicate way that I can. Reading Infinity Gauntlet, Black Panther isn't in that at all.
Yeah. The X-Men are more in it than anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The X-Men, which makes me so sad because I would have loved it, and we've talked about this a lot, how much we would love to have
I would have loved it if
Hugh
Doctor
Jackman.
Strange opens a portal and Hugh Jackman steps through.
Yep.
It's Wolverine.
A cigar says, "What's up, bud?"
There's an interesting
and then
culture.
Bruce Banner goes, "You're so screwed."
There's an interesting cultural phenomenon going on, just from a societal thing.
Cultural climate.
Yeah, cultural climate.
Cultural,
and
political
like
climate, yeah.
bringing, like you were mentioning, like Black Panther into the world, like
Yeah.
in the amount that they have, I really do think that it's a sign of our times. We have needed a strong African American superhero
Yeah.
in these movies. Would you agree?
Yes.
There needs to
Absolutely.
be representation of diversity.
I would.
Just like
Would you just say strong African character because he's not really
He's not American.
He's not American.
Because I was
Oh,
going to
that's
say, 'cause
true. Thank you.
my big argument a lot of times, and I go along with this because Don Cheadle has gone and said this, is like, I'm black or I'm African American or I'm African. Those are 3 different things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of black people have
Yeah,
lost their
that's true.
culture. Right, Africans are still
Wow.
they're African, and African Americans are American citizens who celebrate their culture,
Mhm.
and because they know it, they actually have the luxury of knowing their lineage.
Yeah.
So, and to your point, just going back to the subject, like this kind of plays in part where Black Panther was first introduced. Black
Yeah.
Panther was introduced in the comics as like, hey guys, we need to appeal to like the black community and the African Americans, that we can sell comic books to because there are a lot of
They need to be represented too.
demographics. And then, they had Luke Cage and then
It's
they
like
had
having strong female characters. It's like Wonder Woman. I mean, it's like,
Finally-
why do we not have a Black Widow movie? You know what I mean? It's like,
We
I
are
would
now,
love
finally.
that.
but I
It's
mean,
coming.
I'm sure it's coming, and it's like having a Wonder Woman
announced
movie.
it.
We need that. We're in a very interesting social economy, but you also have to play with the story. You know,
shout out
it's
to
like-
Asian brothers
What do you have?
and sisters.
The 3 Chris's headlining the
Yeah.
the Avengers.
But it's like having the Black Panther movie. It's like that's a little bit of kind of a. I don't know if it's forced.
A Black
Well,
Panther movie?
I think it was important for it
Like,
to
does
set
it fit
itself
into the?
up.
I'm more so as a kid asking. Explain to me.
It was important,
Explain to
I
you
think,
what?
for that,
The
like you said,
significance.
culturally, for it to be a solid film on its own
Yeah.
because of what it had to accomplish and what it did accomplish.
Yeah.
Are you saying
Tom's-
they just
Hand was
Thomas,
raised.
I raised my hand because I think so. I'm the first one. I think I'm gonna like try to like. I'm the first one that's going to like talk shit about Marvel MCU all day every day because like
He's a DC fanboy.
because I'm a DC fanboy, right? So I have that bias. But the thing is, like, I look at Avengers not with love first. I look at it with hate first, and then I love it later. But then I like all the films
Jesus
to begin
Christ.
with.
Wow.
But the,
Nice.
but the
That's a
thing is
strong
with
word.
each,
That's how he starts all friendships, by the way.
yeah, with each Marvel film is that they're supposed to expand the world that they live in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Guardians and Thor were the first ones to go into the cosmic landscape. And what I think they try to do with Wakanda, and you can make this as a parallel with Wonder Woman, is give your Earth more of a reason to be interesting.
Yeah.
Create
Yeah.
Wakanda. They haven't even touched on Namor the Submariner to have Atlantis. Like, imagine the world that they can create when they have two of the most strongest forces are ones that are not living in New York. Because I always thought
Yeah.
that was the stupidest thing about Avengers is that you have 40 fucking heroes in one city. How shitty are all those heroes, or how fucked up is that city?
A
Right?
little column A and a little column B.
But then you also have Inhumans who have like I forget the city. They have a secret city on Earth too, and like
Yeah.
that's never talked about, right? Like if like we lived in a world where we didn't need Walgreens and things were perfect, all the Marvel properties would be under one bucket, right? Then so you would have things in Jersey where the X-Men school for the gifted youngsters are, and then you would have
in
Is it like
somebody
upstate New
said,
York?
"Oh man, this is so much better than Jersey." It's probably in the comic book, but
Yeah.
anyway.
you would have the Future Foundation with Fantastic Four. You would have Storm. I mean, like the entire Earth, like with the way that the universe sees Earth, it's like this is where you go for conquerors to die. Like you don't fuck with Earth. Like,
Right.
but the thing is, like, it's just Iron Man. And then they say that in the movie. Like Cap says to William Hurt, aka Red Hulk, he says like, "You just lost your best hero. You just lost your best defender of Earth."
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about. That Iron Man is the only person that carries the weight of that word. So to answer your point, like I felt like Wakanda was something that the cultural, social world that we live in
And
Yeah.
the MCU.
needed, but
Yeah.
then MCU needed to expand its own Earth too,
Okay.
as long with the cosmic universe. But right now, I'm feeling
To
they need
make it even bigger because it's not just
scale.
Not New York is
Scale,
just
right.
affected.
Right.
It's the world
Yeah.
is affected.
Although I do have to say, him saying like Wakanda forever,
before, like not the world forever.
yeah, it kind of bothered me because I'm like, yeah, Wakanda forever. I'm hyped for Black Panther that I just saw a couple months ago, but like,
Can I argue why? You have 4 or 5 people who aren't from Wakanda and about 10,000 other people behind you who are. So who are you trying to inspire the most? The 5 next to you get the stakes. The 10,000
sense.
behind you are fighting for you.
good point.
yeah.
And they're, but they're
All right, I'll give you
also
that one.
they
That'd be like
Yeah,
having
it kinda makes
10,000
sense.
American soldiers and then like 4 German people and be like, for Germany, right? And you're like, wait, what? Hold on. So like, I think that's where he had to say that.
And I mean,
Makes
like
sense.
at the end of Black Panther, like he goes to like the United Nations, says like Wakanda is going to open its doors, and so I mean he already knows that he's there for the world. But the thing is, like, yeah, you do have to galvanize and say like Wakanda's never been taken over, and we will not get taken over today.
Yeah.
True.
Makes sense.
Call me Qualms, Caitlyn.
Red Skull.
In what
When he was in
just him
Vormir.
in general?
yeah.
He looked
Why?
like
I
one
was
of the,
I
sorry.
was bothered that like it was cool that he showed up because he did get teleported from the Tesseract.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they had those little things in so that it's obvious he was teleported away.
Yeah.
When he dissolved into light or whatever. But why was he cursed to forever be a vape ghost on top of a mountain.
Do you even vape, bro? Anyways,
Oh,
Yeah, there's some story missing there.
yeah, like I
explained it a
get that
little
he
bit in the
was.
movie.
I get that he was stuck there and he can't really like travel away. But if he knows that people are going to show up, why is he so upset? Like, he's very somber and serious, and it's like, I know everyone that's going to ever come here, and it's like, why are you asking for a ride?
because he's bound. He's been there for 70 years, but why has he not left?
His soul is bound there, so he's bound to it. It's like, and the reason he's not like, hey, it's you. It's, I think, in the sense of like, it's out of, almost like kind of out of time. Like, he's been doing this for
70 plus.
So like Gandalf, he dies, and every day is the lifespan of the earth. And he lives for like years, but every day is a lifespan of the earth. I think that's essentially how he feels, having been there. Thousands of other people have come before Thanos and failed.
Sure.
So I think he's just kind of like, I know everyone who's going to come here. I knew you were coming, whatever. But I don't think he knows whether or not they succeed. So he knows everyone's coming, but he doesn't know if they have the power to sacrifice what they need to get the
he
stone.
knows that they don't. Because he's seen so many people do it.
He didn't know. That's what I mean. But he doesn't know.
Oh.
He doesn't know for sure. But
So,
because Thanos succeeds.
Is it that he's attached to the stone? Because it's the soul stone? Like, what did the Tesseract...
I would assume so.
Because the Tesseract was the space stone,
Space
right?
stone.
Yeah.
So, and the space stone's like, oh, my bro over here, soul stone, needs like a buddy.
Essentially,
So
yeah.
I'm just
Evil
going to...
curse was cast
Well,
upon him.
I want to think that hopefully this again expands the cosmic landscape for Marvel, where like the Living Tribunal or Master Order and Lord Chaos come out and be like, because I mean the thing is like they go hand in hand. They're part and parcel, as some would say, is that the Infinity Stones and the I forget what they call them, but like they're just the essence of the universe and embodiment. Like so, Living Tribunal, Eternity, Master Order, and Lord Chaos are all things that are like they pretty much govern those pieces of the universe, and those stones pretty much are the same powers that they all have.
They just trump them.
Yeah, and so in the comic book, the In-Betweener is the one that governs over the Soul Stone. It's the first stone that Thanos actually gets.
Right.
And he's kind of just stuck there because Master Order and Lord Chaos are like, yo, you have to stay here because you're in prison because you were trying to like overstep your bounds and you're stuck. So I don't know if there's something specific where like when he's transported there, like one of them happened. Like Galactus is part of it. And Galactus is like, you know, the world devourer. And he's like, yo, you have to stay here and you're bound to that. And Galactus has those powers.
Angriest,
power
hungriest
cosmic
cloud.
to like take somebody, imbue them with the power cosmic and make them the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Or Galactus Hulk. Or is like, or now you're, you know, the herald of the Soul Stone. So like you are, I mean, because you don't see Red Skull after that. So he could potentially,
Yeah.
would he have transported back to Earth?
Or
would
would
he
he-
have died? Who knows?
Is he part of the snap?
Does he
the
live-
snapping?
Yeah.
And the thing is that they
The
don't.
snapping. The snapping, that's it. That's it.
What? No.
That's the title
Yeah.
for the fourth
What's
Avengers. That's
happening?
a spoiler.
That's
the
it.
snapping.
No.
The snapping.
John, or do you have more comic comics?
I can't think of anything because the snapping killed me.
If you do, jump back in.
So
Right,
specifically, or
Red Skull.
explicitly, is why is Red Skull stuck there?
yeah, because I
not-
agree they could have explained it a
Yeah.
little more.
Not
Yeah.
that he's
That was
lamenting.
kind of like, oh,
not that he's lamenting,
look at
but the
this.
fact that he's stuck there.
out of
yeah, like why is he stuck there? Why is he
and
a vape
why is he like
ghost?
kind of suspended from aging?
Yeah.
And why does he have no feet?
Yeah, why does he not have feet?
I think
It's just his soul, I think.
But I think he
It
is like
probably
imbued
is.
with some cosmic power because I think because I saw it for the third time and he does walk.
oh,
He could
Oh.
apparate and then he could walk,
Huh.
interesting.
Okay, so he does have feet.
but he doesn't have.
He's stuck there.
He doesn't have a physical face.
Maybe we find out
He
more
only
in the
has a
second
CGI
part.
face.
Does Amazon Fresh deliver there?
Maybe the second half we'll find
Possibly.
out more.
I have a qualm about your qualm that has to do with your qualm.
Okay.
Oh,
Qualms have
ready.
Red
relations.
Skull not being played by Hugo Weaving.
I know.
Wait,
Yeah,
was he
that
not?
killed me.
No.
What?
I didn't even
They're
notice that.
Oh my
clearly
god.
I
They
know.
fooled me.
Unless
It sounded
It was-
exactly like him.
The guy who played him was in The Walking Dead. He's really good at impressions.
Oh.
That's what
They
it
used
is.
the reality stone.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
gonna say that was the best. Like
This guy is
when I heard it,
really
I was like,
good.
yeah,
I was
I,
about
love
to say
that
they
guy's
probably didn't have the
voice.
budget for it, and then I remembered I'm talking about Marvel.
Yeah.
It's a $1 billion
They
movie.
have so much
Are we on
money.
Tom Qualms?
Yeah, Tom Qualms.
The Tom Qualm
So
tribe.
there's a line that I was actually this is the same kind of qualms that people had for Suicide Squad, which kind of sounds kind of dumb, but it is.
Oh boy.
You don't see Cap and Hulk running in Wakanda towards this fight.
No.
I wanted that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, all the misdirects. Totally
You mean
okay.
Iron Man and Hulk?
All the misdirects are totally
yeah.
okay, but then like actual footage
From
and
the trailer?
audio are not.
They
there.
had to do that though.
No, they did not have to do that.
Yeah, they did. It was
No.
to sell the movie.
How about you just sell me the movie?
Okay.
Of what it is.
Hey, how about this?
actually.
It's been
What
working
it
for a
is.
fucking
What it
100
is.
years. How about you just sell me the damn movie? The line where he's like, balancing the universe is not something that brings me joy, but this does bring me a smile to my face. Never heard that. I wanted it. Because the thing is that Thanos is also kind of happy throughout this, like how he's quote unquote supposed to be. Like he's happy that he's attaining this power because he's closer and closer to his goal. This one's like Thanos is very like sad. He's just sad.
I wouldn't say he's sad as he's focused.
He's focused, but he's sad. He's pretty sad.
Also,
Because
just while I'm thinking of it, the bubbles. Thanos
Oh, yeah, we
only
talked
thinks
about that.
of bubbles.
He
Yeah,
only
I
turned
was a
things into
little-
bubbles.
Because maybe
I had an
inside-
issue with that too.
he just has bubbles.
It could have been anything else,
Could have
though.
been anything. Could have been leaves.
It would have been great if she went to like stab herself and it just turned into like
Rose
a rubber
petals.
duck and it went.
Yeah, it might as well.
Oh
have
my
been, though.
god!
It
no,
might as well have
I
been.
feel like I've watched the wrong movie now.
But you know what I mean? Like it could have
Yeah.
been. It could have been anything else.
And
Would've
then
been great.
also part of that leak from when Thanos throws the moon. And
Yeah.
obviously, I think they had to do this because they had to cut it out because it was leaked. Doctor Strange doesn't say, Peter, they aren't dead. You can still save them.
What?
There's a part where like something happens and like, what happens? And I wanted to hear more of that Strange. I was looking forward to that. I was like, oh, cool, this is a cool leak. And then it didn't show up.
I have
But
another qualm when it gets back to me. I have
those
one
are
more.
small, dumb qualms. But also, I was talking about this in the car. Where's Valkyrie?
Oh
Yeah.
She was on that refugee craft of Asgard and she gone.
Basically, like my figure.
Where's Korg?
I figure that if anyone doesn't show up, they're dead.
Well,
But
And it blew up.
show
at the
me
end,
the body.
I don't think they
they
would kill
killed
Valkyrie.
half the crew, right?
Yeah.
So where did the rest of the half the crew go?
He
before
says like
blew
he
up the
killed
ship?
half of my people.
Good point. Good point.
So
Show
she
me
might
the
have been
baddie.
the ones that got
But
to
the ship
live.
blew up.
But maybe he got on an escape pod.
Or maybe Thanos was like, goodbye, go
Maybe
away.
Heimdall-
Maybe we'll have a
Bifrost
flashback in the next one where it starts with on board the Asgardian ship and Thor's getting people off, and then
Yeah.
all of a
That
sudden they're
could be.
boarded.
Like we see the kind of the battle
Yeah,
that
Maybe.
led up to
That'd
that.
be interesting.
Um,
I'd be
be
down
into
for
that.
that.
I
Yeah.
don't like how the Black Order kind of got slept on.
Ebony Maw,
Well, his entire powers have changed. You know, he's a sorcerer, but
but
like
he was dope as shit. Like
he
to
was-
be honest, he was
cool.
my favorite one.
I wanted more Corvus Glaive.
Okay,
Like he is such a gangster. Like, and
That's
I was
kind of what I mean by my qualm, which is like
I-
I wish they didn't have time to dive into characters at all.
I think honestly, to me, the weakest parts of the film were all the Guardians parts.
But they spent
To me,
so
they
much
were
time
they
on
were
them.
very much
Yeah.
like you're the taxi service. You're the taxi service to get us to Gamora to Thanos.
They spent
and
a
to
lot of
Thor
time with the
to
Guardians.
Raccoon.
A lot more time with the Guardians than I thought they would.
Yeah. And then I think this was Corey's qualm. Star-Lord became the idiot.
yeah,
Star-Lord became the
That
idiot.
was sad.
I mean, the thing is, like, they're all a young ragtag group that just wing it and don't know how to like actually do a plan.
but he's not an idiot in that sense. Like he always in the movies, he gets it. He comes together, he puts together a plan, he does something.
he rises to the occasion.
yeah,
And this time, you just get to see how low in terms of like his herohood has been compared to everyone else, because everyone else is like, you know, trying to keep it together, and he's the one that kind of doesn't. But he's like emotionally compromised at every situation.
But once I thought through the Iron Man
Iron
going
Man
through that
thing?
with Bucky, I felt a lot better about it because I was like, it's just mirroring that.
yeah, I mean, even then, I was kind of like, I have a complex against Thor. I'm getting fat. I'm just like, dude, just keep
Oh,
it
yeah.
together, man. You are the leader. You are
At
celestial.
least he didn't go Banner.
Oh yeah, I mean, most slept on heroes. No, I mean, I think those are my main qualms. I think it's just pretty much like more like just holes.
I
I,
dig
think they're
that.
just plot holes. But overall, like I was very happy.
This is
Watching
this is
it.
the last one I'll say, and I think this will be a nice button on the qualms.
Oh, actually, I have one more.
oh, go for it.
My favorite parts were the Thanos parts, but I also found like that was almost a qualm of mine because, you know, again, the best parts were
Yeah.
to me the worst parts is like this should just been called Thanos the movie.
Yeah.
And I would have maybe to your point where it's like, should they have had another movie before this movie?
Could they
Maybe-
have had Infinity War Part 1, Part 2, and then had another Avengers movie on top? Like
Well,
kind of like what they're doing now.
I mean, what if they had a Guardians 3 movie and it was more about Thanos? What if
Yeah.
it was a Thor 4 movie and it was more about Thanos?
Because like we could have been like, oh, he got 4 of the stones.
Guardians 3 would have been it, I think.
Because this was a combination of like, this was pretty much the Thanos quest, where he just
Yeah.
goes and outwits
Yeah.
all the elders to get the stones, which is fucking
Which
amazing.
is not a bad thing because it was so well done.
Yeah.
However,
You
what does that
lose,
spell
you lose,
for-
you lose that Cap love. You
Yeah.
lose that.
You
And
I'm
lose
interested to
Buffalo.
see what happens with the second one
Yeah.
Um,
and where
yeah.
they've
Same.
taken us.
I was actually calm a bit of like none of the main Avengers really died. I wanted that.
I think
Well,
that's
that
by
goes right into my
design.
qualm. Is the stakes for the next movie Like it was crazy seeing everyone dissipate like that.
Oh,
But I
wait,
didn't
that was
didn't
qualm.
feel
Qualm.
I didn't feel anything because everyone who died is confirmed for another movie.
That's the thing. I was like, you
Every
very
single
clearly know who has contracts expiring.
Doctor
and who
Strange
doesn't.
2 confirmed, Spider-Man 2 confirmed, Black Panther 2 confirmed.
So what's not confirmed?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3
No
confirmed.
Iron Man movie confirmed.
No Cap.
No Captain movie confirmed.
Well,
So, like-
again, like what I've said, that's a big hindrance of the MCU when they want to do these like grand gestures, like this is our slate for the next 20 years, guys.
they have
You're
it through
like,
20,
you make
25 now.
every movie insequential to the very end.
Yeah.
But
Every single movie doesn't mean anything.
having sat on that overnight, now the only people who can't come back from undoing what Thanos did
Hawkeye.
is Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Like the stakes for them now,
Which
are
in a
way
weird
up.
way kind of makes it a little bit more interesting, being like, okay, well, what is actually going to happen in the next
Yeah.
movie?
Well, I mean,
Because if they die, if they undo what Thanos did, they're still dead.
Yeah.
question.
I have
So
a
they have to like
question.
sacrifice themselves, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, Josh. The judge will hear you.
Professor Petborasuth.
Paporstein.
In the comic books, how does everybody come back?
Warlock.
The unsnapping.
No, yeah, no, not even Warlock.
clapping.
Nebula.
Nebula.
Because
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened? So what happens in comic book? Spoilers for all. It's 1970. So
Yeah.
Thanos gets so powerful, he fights Eternity. And Eternity is the embodiment of reality in itself, and he wins. And the cool thing is that Adam Warlock says, like, who will win? They're both equal on power in terms of, like, who could control reality. And Warlock already knows Thanos is going to win because Eternity has never fought anyone equal to him. So he doesn't know if he could win. And Thanos is like, nothing's stopping me. And so it's that conviction that Thanos has. He's like, I'm going to win. And Warlock's like, he's going to win. He's going to become the new Eternity. And so Thanos takes over. And the thing is, the Living Tribunal, who pretty much say like, hey, if you're going to become super powerful, we got to put you in check because we can't have you destroying universes. But the thing is, like, the Living Tribunal is kind of like archaic, where it's like, if you want to challenge somebody, we're not going to stop you. Because if you succeed, then you have a place with us. And so Warlock told them all, he's like, no, if he fights Eternity and wins, he will just become the new Eternity. And so Warlock's like, bro, but he will destroy everything. He's like, that's not our problem. Because everyone's just like, they don't care about humanity.
So Nebula.
Yeah. And so
Nebula
Thanos
brings-
leaves his body, and Thanos is just sitting on his throne. And then Nebula, who is resurrected as this corpsey husk, still has consciousness, has been silent throughout the entire saga, and she's just watching him, and then waits until like he loses his consciousness, takes that gauntlet, puts it on, and then undoes everything that Thanos did.
Wow.
I think it'll reflect somewhere in that.
Because Nebula's left.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's like what Corey was bringing up. All of the confirmed movies that we have life spoilers.
Yeah.
Just from production standpoint.
It's like anti-Sean Bean.
It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we know that those people are going to come back.
But
And
like,
so-
I mean, that to me, like at first I was upset about it, and
Yeah.
then thinking about how
But it'll be fun to see how it unfolds.
Of course they come back because they have to undo what Thanos did with the gauntlet, but like that also leaves the people who I care about a lot, like Iron Man and Cap, who aren't confirmed for anything, super exposed
Yeah.
to anything.
There's another theory that's like the people who lived were actually the people who died.
Oh,
And so like because of the way they
What?
faded away,
Like they're in Soul World.
they're fading away from the dead people's
Ah.
existence
Ooh,
into because
ooh.
they're actually in reality.
Big old
Nah,
qualm.
because Peter
I
collapses and says it doesn't feel
hated
good.
How long
oh.
took to watch everyone turn into dust?
That was the best part.
I immediately after the movie was over, Corey and Tom were like, "Hey, what do you think? What upset you?" And I was like, "I didn't want to watch everyone turn into
Every
crumbles
single.
for
They
like
wanted it to be
10
so
whole
emotional.
minutes."
They dropped all the music. There was like
Which is great, which is a
I love
powerful decision.
It's powerful, but I feel like I would have been more interested for everyone to be in a panic, being like, "Holy shit, people are just gone. What happened? Like,
Yeah.
what's okay? He won, but like, okay, like
Kind of like
name check
kind of
who's
like
left."
the end credit bit where people are crashing, like people are just like disappearing
Yeah.
all over the place. There's panic.
Well, as it's happening, they're all kind of like, they literally have no farking clue what is happening.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, to go with that, like that's different, right? In the comic book, he just snaps and it just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think could kind of lead to maybe the next part is that like that's the one thing I loved so much about this film is that the Russo brothers took so many liberties that I have no idea what's going to happen, and
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah, I'm
really
excited
point in
for it.
speculating.
Just
Yeah,
why
I was
they
kind of
haven't-
surprised when Cap and Thanos are going at it. Like, again, this is a moment that I tapped you and I was like, oh shit, because in the comic book
He was
again,
slapping
it's
my
like,
face. He's actually a little taller than me.
He Thanos kills Captain America with just like a bat, just like whack.
Like a backhand.
Just like
not
a
a bat.
backhand.
People can't see what you're doing.
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
like
kill with a
just-
bat, but a backhand.
Just a backhand, just slapped him. And so when he like just threw Cap to the side after that, I was like,
Is that it?
He did.
wow.
Did you say steak?
They did you say steak? But I was like, no, it's not. It's too unceremonious. They wouldn't do that.
No.
What
But
I did
anyway,
like was when he used Reality Stone on Drax and Mantis, and they became blocks, and then they became like, because that's what
And then
happened.
they come back.
That's that's what happened on in Infinity Gauntlet. He did that. He did like he put someone in like ice. He put someone where they would have like enormous growth that took over their body and they would freeze. And then he like turned someone into like blocks and he would just shatter them. I was like, this is what I've been wanting.
Yeah.
Like not dusty dust. Like
how
Apocalypse.
powerful he really like in the comic books, like even more powerful. Okay, we're not talking about that. So favorite
Yeah.
characters?
Favorite characters.
Favorite
I
characters.
Think.
Well, hold on. Shout out to Alan Silvestri.
Oh, I know.
Shout out to Alan Silvestri for
Doing the music.
and like
Bum, 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 bum.
and then doing it in the piano though.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
piano,
of
like
course.
there was. It's so funny. I was listening to the soundtrack on the way here, and it's so reminiscent of like an older '90s, like '80s, like score for a film. Like there's like so much more horns, instruments in there, where it's not like just like.
It's a full orchestra.
Yeah, it has such a different feel, and you wouldn't think this would be something you hear in like
What is this,
such,
John Williams?
it's such like a blockbustery thing. It's everyone at home, go and listen to it. I know
No,
it's crazy. It's
I've
so
liked
good.
all of the soundtracks or the
Scores.
the scores. Thank you. I can use my words.
Yeah.
Of all of the movies. I mean, they've been great.
They've been good, but I mean, Corey and I both know there's a video essay that talks about like what
Every
is the
frame of
Star
painting,
Wars
shut
theme,
up.
what is the Jurassic Park theme, what is the ET theme, what's the Indiana Jones theme, what's the Avengers theme.
You can name it, but then
No
Avengers
one-
at the time Avengers didn't have that. Bum, 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 bum.
But
Yeah.
Alan Silvestri reeling it in and really kind of making sure it's utilized. And like
Yeah.
every time Cap comes, dun 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 dun, and it's just like, he's coming, he's gonna save them. And so like again, like, and then when what's the sound you hear when Thor appears from the Bifrost? Dun dun. Like there's thematic things. Like what do you hear when you go to Wakanda? You hear those drums.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like you have to have those themes. Like what do you hear when Batman comes in? You know, right? You have those
Mhm.
thematic things happen. And so runs
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
in with the bomb and the shark
we
repellent.
know.
But Avengers needed that, and I think
I
that
agree.
really held it together so
Especially
well.
for this event.
It's
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
I mean, like every time you knew a triumphant moment was gonna happen, you know that song was you're gonna hear those horns hit. Like, so good.
All right, favorite characters. Ali.
I'm gonna go ahead and say my favorite character is Thor.
Odin's son.
Yeah.
Odin's son. I really, exactly to your point, like with Ragnarok in this movie, like I just really like his character now. He's really
Well, he
fun
can
to
play the-
watch.
he can play the
and also
comedy and the
retrospectively,
serious.
though. Like
Yeah.
going back to like knowing his character now and then looking back at Thor 1 just as much. Like,
With the
loved
bleached
it.
eyebrows and everything.
Sure.
No
No,
facial
but I
hair.
just enjoy his kind of character arc. I think he's had one of the strongest developments through the MCU or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a prerequisite to
And
lose
he
everything
did really,
to become a hero.
and he kicked
Yeah.
ass in this one. So,
Yeah.
Any honorable mention?
honorable mention. I mean,
Spidey?
I want to say, I want to say,
I'm curious.
I wanna
Spidey's
say-
not mine.
I want to say Doctor Strange because of like,
Mm.
I feel like this was a better Doctor Strange movie than Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If I
I
was
will
so much
agree.
closer to you, I would hold you so
I
hard.
100% agree.
But maybe just because we're done with the origin stuff and we don't have to deal with him.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and like they've
Bugging
skipped
the
ahead how many
operating theater.
years? 4 years, and now he's just like a badass of
Yeah.
space and time.
Yeah.
so
Like they showed that in Thor. Like, oh,
Exactly.
Doctor Strange is a master of his arts now. Got it.
You could just keep filling up your beer steins up.
I've been falling for 30 minutes. Favorite character, Caitlyn?
Oh, come to me last.
Okay,
there's
Josh.
so much.
Josh.
Joshua.
Favorite
Joshua.
Dang it.
I haven't called you that at all during this episode.
Joshua?
Joshua.
Joshua. My favorite character. No. I of course I love Cap, but if I had to choose one for this movie, it's probably gonna be Tony Stark. Tony Stark for me, just even of the whole series of movies, he's somebody who I wish I was.
He's the Godfather.
more confident,
He's Marvel.
more like kind of a badass. Like I'm not a very
confident.
I'm not a very confident person.
He's smooth,
It's just the
funny,
confidence.
witty.
Josh, have you ever
confident.
thought of cutting your facial hair like his? You should try it.
No.
Just try it.
No.
Just try it, blood.
You never know till you try.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just like
Have you ever
heroin.
tried making a $50 million
Never stop,
armor?
never stopping.
I liked Rocket in this one. That
dig
would be
it.
my honorable
That's
mention.
fair.
I liked.
He wasn't that annoying
That was
this
good.
movie.
Yeah, he had a little bit more depth in terms of his. I liked a lot of the characters. I'm sorry, Thanos was a great.
Yep.
He was a great character.
It's Tom's favorite, I bet. Tom?
Corey.
No,
you go, Corey.
It's going around in a circle, my friend.
We skip people, so it goes to you.
Jesus. I was going to wait.
So
I don't have
violent.
anything yet.
Oh, bullshit. Mine's gonna be Thanos all day. Thanos, there's something in the comic book which the Russos captured really well. In the comic book for Infinity War, he has to fight against the Magus, which is the anti-Adam Warlock. And he gets this thing called the Ultimate Nullifier. And it's a thing where someone who's super smart and super strong-willed shoots it could destroy anything.
Oh.
And anything in its way. And so he could destroy like galaxies. And so he asks all of the heroes, he's like, who has the conviction to do this? And no one says anything. Then Quasar says it. And then he's like, all right, here you go. But then like Thanos is like kind of like calls this point of like, I'm the only one with the intellect, the skill, and the conviction to do this. Who else is up? And this is like he's talking this to all the heroes, people he just killed. And then it's like days later, he's like, I'm gonna save the universe. And you saw this with Thanos. I love that. Like you saw that, and in Thanos' quest, like every time he fought the elders to get like an Infinity Stone, first thing he says, I have no wish to harm you. I just want the stone. And he says, he's like, and other elders would plead with him, like, but is my life and this world, like, is that lower than your will to get this stone? He's like, it is. Because my goal is ultimate. And you saw that with this, and that's what the thing, every shining moment where he's like, throws Gamora in. And he, when he finds out that Ebony Maw died, he's like, this day has extracted much grief. It's like, there's been so much price to pay. And everything, he's like, I'm willing to pay that price. Because he has seen in this MCU run, he's seen his planet die. In the Hickman run, he destroyed his planet.
He's not a typical like Kmart villain that doesn't value life.
Again, like that's the thing
Kmart
that
I
villain.
love that.
that's the thing
I love Kmart.
that's the thing that makes it such a hard film is that like I saw so much of him that like I cared about him more than I cared about other characters. I cared about because ever since I was a kid, I always felt like, what would happen if the hero won, if the villain won? And I'm like, I just want to see the world get taken over. And then they had to win the world back. And then this one, I'm like, I got to see it. I got to see the villain win. But then also, I didn't have to hate the villain. I wanted the villain to win because I'm like, I need to see this. I need to see everyone die.
I did like their kind of nod to the comics of his beginning armor at the beginning of the movie was kind of almost exactly what he wears in the
I wanted
comics.
more of it.
I did too, but it was kind of like when he unsheathed himself.
I wanted the gold eyebrows. The golden eyebrows. I wanted those
More
golden
shoulder
eyebrows.
pads.
He doesn't even have that big of a shoulder pad. He doesn't even have a gold plate. It's
but
just
they were like,
blue and then-
redesign. This is our take.
Yeah.
A jaunty vest.
He was getting too hot in there.
It was.
Yes.
It was.
Everything was on fire.
They just
man.
like no one with helmets. Thor doesn't wear his helmet.
Honorable mention?
Favorite side.
Doesn't have to be side, just honorable mention.
Favorite character. I mean, I love Cap. I'm wearing a Cap America shirt right now, but I wanted Tony Stark to die, and I really wanted him to like shine really hard in this movie. So he did, and I was
And
like,
not from a like, oh, I need him to die, but more of a that
this is his.
fuels.
This would be the way for him to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
In such a way, he becomes the martyr. Like, quote unquote, the martyr status was taken from him in Avengers, where he gets saved. Right? He sends the nuke up to the Chitauri army, and then flies back down, and he's like, he should have died. But then this one is like, oh, he gets to die. Like, this is the way to go. Instead of like,
Okay, Bane.
I mean, because I don't know.
Then will he die.
It's like it's again, it's like me and Stakes. Like when War Machine fell to the ground, like, oh, he's paralyzed. Oh, look, he's walking in the next scene.
That's not where I thought you were going to take that. I think it's because I'm hungry right now.
Medium rare.
And I was like, steaks. I like
Did you say
steaks.
Shout out to Steak. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, it's Thanos then Iron Man. And the thing I loved about Thanos when he connects, he's like, "Hey Stark," it's like I'm also cursed with knowledge. I'm like, so good.
And that, I'm just telling you that line, I hope they remember you. Seeing that it was sincere was
So good.
probably, probably the line of the movie for
And
me.
the thing is, like Thanos again,
That
like,
and Earth is closed today.
hey, go home, Squidward. It's good. Yeah. Caitlyn? No, you
Both the
missed your turn.
C's.
God.
Oh, okay.
This is hard.
That's fine by
No,
me.
Corey, help.
All right, I got Thor. I knew it. I just wanted you to hear your thing first.
I figured.
Thor all day.
I figured
Like,
that was the case.
in this movie, especially him like taking the force of a star
Yeah.
And then
and flexing and
That was nice.
immediately jumping to action
Right.
as soon as he's aboard the Guardian ship, just being like, "Yo, thanks, but I gotta go."
Yeah.
I don't need a spear. I
And-
need a hammer.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I dug all
And
of it.
plus, he was an angel pirate.
and him
Angel Pirate, yeah.
force starting that forge with his body. Yeah, it was badass.
Yeah.
Like Captain America: Civil War, there was a lot of good Chris Evans like bicep action things, and then this one was like Thor's gotta jump up.
Hold my hammer. Hold my hammer.
Hold my hammer. I'll be right back. I'm like, oh my
Check
god,
this out.
Like his vein on his bicep is as big as my arm.
Yeah.
I was like,
And also
oh
the
my
fact that he spoke Groot as an elective. I loved that. It
well, that's the cool thing. Like, I think
was
that
offered as an elective.
I've always loved that about Thor is that like he's this other being, this god among men, but also in Asgard, he is the strongest of the Asgardians. Like he's already OP in our world. He's even more OP in his own world. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's and he flies. He could thunder. Like
I liked seeing Scarlet Witch fly a lot, by the way,
yeah.
which we didn't get to see too much in the other films.
I thought we got like a culmination of awesomeness with Thor in this one. Like we
Yeah.
really got to see a Thor moment, like in that final battle scene when he's
Yeah.
just like he comes in and he's like, anyway,
I was like,
Um,
oh, that axe does
oh.
damage.
yeah,
My honorable mention for this is actually not so much a character, but something that a character did that won me like a little. Here's a golden star for you. When they're in the like the fight on Wakanda, and she's like, "You're alone." And she goes, "She's not alone."
Wow.
And it's fucking Black Widow there, and
And Okoye,
and just
Oh.
like I was like, "Yeah,
yeah, that moment.
badass."
Prime Proxima Midnight.
Yeah. So that took it for me. That's my honorable mention is Black Widow in that scene. I think she killed it in this movie. Small role, but like every scene she
always
was in, she
kills
killed it.
Yeah,
I actually really liked Scarlet Witch a lot, and
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
like what they were doing with Vision and Scarlet Witch in Civil War. Cause I was like, that never fucking happened. What the?
Yeah.
But then it makes sense so much more now that
Yeah.
like there has to be some kind of emotional attachment to like
Yeah.
destroy Vision.
Right.
Oh, by the way, goddamn, so sad. Vision dies twice in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
In 10 you die from the person you love, and then all of a sudden this monster man
Also in your
just
back.
kills you. It's like,
Uh,
oh my god.
My honorable mention for full character though, as much as I want to give props to Doctor Strange for that moment, I'm
Yeah.
going to deviate just a little bit to keep it interesting. I thought
Benedict
Dude, Wong is one of my favorites. Not in this movie though. They only had 10 seconds of screen time. I think Wong has slept on his shit. I think he's gonna be. He better be huge and Strange too. But Ebony Maw, I thought he was so cool. I thought the character
Yeah.
design was great. I thought. I mean, obviously you can't keep him around because they made him OP as shit.
He's too strong.
Yeah.
OP as shit.
Yeah.
But like, I thought he was great. I liked that he rivaled Doctor Strange. I like that nothing really phased him at all.
I think superior to Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange is about to use his most powerful weapon yet again.
yeah.
Doesn't even get to use it.
But I dug him, and I
So
get
upset
why
about it.
I get why they killed him off early. But I would have liked to see more of him before that.
all right.
Like you said, like maybe if there was another Thor movie or Guardians movie where they introduce these
Yeah.
characters and you get to see more of who they are, I may have felt more scared of them in the movie.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
was
See
the
them in
only
action
he
more.
was the only one
Ooh.
that I was scared of because of that first fight where he like cut cars in half and shit with a finger, and I was like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
That would have been it. Called Thanos, the Black Order.
yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
But
I
like the
wanted more
big
of
guy
them.
didn't scare me because Hulk. We have a Hulk,
yeah.
which I loved Loki saying, by the way.
So
Loki going, we have a Hulk.
Yeah,
because
gets-
that's what he got
gets
told.
he gets to say it. In the comic book, he in Hickman's Infinity, that one dude whose name in the
Big
movie
guy.
is called Obsidian Cole. He goes and attacks Wakanda, and then Wakanda then beats him. So that was kind
Are
of
you
a
talking about the big guy with the hammer?
Yeah.
Okay.
his name is Obsidian Cole.
Nice.
But like, yeah, I wasn't scared of him. Like you said, Proxima like seems cool, but they didn't make her cool in this movie. But I would have liked for them to have their own movie because they all
Yeah.
seemed interesting.
They needed it.
In Infinity, they have their own parts, or in the Thanos Volume 1, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
You still have to answer it.
I was hoping you guys would forget.
No,
Dun,
never.
dun.
Okay.
Ah!
Dun, dun.
All right. So
The pressure's
obviously,
on.
I really like Thanos
Yeah.
because he was really cool. Also, it was kind of weird for me that this is gonna sound kind of strange, but I've met people who think like he does, and have a very warped sense of like what's good and what's not.
Mhm.
Oh,
And it's very scary, but very real. So for me, I had like a, oh my God, it's you kind of moment where I'm like,
Derek, is
oh
that
my
you?
God, this is a very real mentality. So it's kind of unnerving. So I related to him. So he kind of gets a gold star for being like, wow, you got that right. That's horrifying.
I told you that in confidence.
Sorry, I'm sorry. But I think, oh God, I think my favorite is probably Spider-Man.
dig it.
It's awesome.
Just because like he's the absolute underdog. No one wants him there. But the moment he's like, oh no, things are wrong, he just like jumps into it.
But he was so
'Cause it's the
necessary.
right thing to do.
He's like, I'm back.
It was
up.
the right
That's
thing
Could you
to do.
imagine if he wasn't on that ship? They would have died.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they'd be done.
He wouldn't have
But-
reminded Tony Stark about aliens.
Yeah, and like
It's
you
really
know,
old movie Aliens. Wasn't there one more reference he starts to make?
No,
And
he
goes,
does
"I swear to
another
God."
alien thing.
I
Because he's
swear to
like,
God, if you make another reference.
yeah, he's like, if
Another
aliens,
pop culture reference.
Yeah.
if aliens impregnate me and pop out of my chest and I kill you guys, I'm
but
sorry.
it was like who he was, and being the young guy that's like, no, I want to do this because I'm helping, and it is important for me to be here. And everyone's like, no, you're too young. And it's like, no, especially now with the
Yeah.
society and everything else, young people are very capable.
Yeah.
And that kind of just resonated with everything in all the right ways to
Yeah,
me
I
as
dig
well.
that.
Now his being his third appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
balls,
a
yeah.
little baked, a little bit, into the universe.
Well earned.
So now,
I feel
now-
complete.
We
Just
have
kidding.
to rate it.
I just
We're
want to see
not
what Tom
complete
would do.
because Tom would be
I wanted to see what he'd do if I said it.
I'm not going
rating.
first.
You're not going first. This is your
Corey,
thing.
No, you
You
go
have to
first.
rate
This is
it.
your
You can't
thing.
tell me to do what
You know
I can
what?
do on the
Yo,
show anymore.
I'm just going to
Corey.
go first.
You
Yes.
can't tell me what to do
Go
then.
first.
Doing it right now. I'm going to give it
So it's 1 out of 5.
a
you know.
4.4.
She already knows the point system.
All right.
4.4.
4.4.
Which means nothing, by the way.
I know.
The point system.
Points don't
Well,
matter.
for me, the points matter.
For Tom, it matters.
No.
It's like whose line is it anyway?
Can
Yeah,
you?
the points don't matter.
I know that
Everything's
we've
made
talked
up and the
about this,
points don't
but
matter.
can one day can you make
Break it down?
an actual like almost like a
Rubric?
ruler?
Or
That's a
anyone
rubric?
listening, I would love it. If
Oh my god!
I don't want to do a track record.
Not
I'll
like
just do my own. Like,
one means this, but 1.1 means this.
Like super break it down.
for example, a 1 point. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Oh my God.
What I'd love is for us to track who's rated what, how many stars.
We
I'd
should
like
do
to know
that.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
That should
Yeah.
be something we keep track of for sure.
and then we'll have it on our website.
If anyone out that's playing the home game wants to take that on, I won't complain. But
do that,
we
we'll
should
put,
do
it on
that.
put it on our website, and we'll shout out to you.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
will.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
post it everywhere.
So we got a 4.4.
4.4.
All the other
Okay.
action free.
So, real quick,
Right.
most of the movies, for most of the movie, there was a significant lack of hope.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in
Yeah.
it,
because like death is coming.
and
Mhm.
especially in the end, because it's like, okay, well, half the people died. This movie's ending on a really sad note.
But
And like during the credits, we were all quiet, like we were in like cheer
Sadness.
and whatever, or happy or
Yeah.
satisfied even. But the end credits,
yeah,
my favorite
Carol Danvers.
MCU character
Oh,
shows up on a little beeper.
yep.
And I'm like, yes.
Finally.
So because of that, I give it a 4.
So
Finally,
because of that,
the
end credits scene.
You know when a grain of rice weighs like 10,000 pounds?
you know me at this point, little things like that can add
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot to my score.
Okay.
So
I'm
it
gonna
was
give
a
it a-
4.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
All right.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
No,
you.
me.
Yeah, you.
I am also going to take into the fact that this was
Part 1.
10 years of work.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So that is boosting my score a little bit because that I've never heard of anything like that. I've heard like 4 or 5 years worth of movies leading up to the ending, but
Yeah.
like 10 years, 18 films, billions of dollars. You know, I'm 29 now. The first one came out when I was 18. So like
Crazy.
that's a
That's
huge
how math
works.
that's huge for me.
You're right. Tom.
So I'm gonna give it a I'm trying to think. Did I give Empire a 5?
Yeah.
So I'll
I
give
think
this a 4.8.
Okay.
Josh.
Because there are a couple things I would change,
Yeah.
but not much.
To clarify my answer, it's like it adds like half a point, but mostly because I'm excited for like what's next and
Yeah.
what's after that,
Yeah.
and like looking
I
back
think-
at it.
You know that's all going to be in the 90s, right?
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to
The
set
reason-
up, and then the next.
The
Avengers.
reason I'm giving it a 4.8 is partially because of they've set the stage well.
Yeah.
Like I know I understand, like I said, the stakes for the people who dissipated aren't there, but the stakes for the people who are there are very high. And they've got my attention.
Yeah.
I've been racking my brain for the past 4 days trying to think where do they go? Where do they go
Yeah.
from here?
There's 2 significant pieces of the puzzle left.
Yeah. So 4.8 for me.
I would probably give it a 4
Better not do a double-digit point.
5, 6.
You did it. You did it. You did 4.75.
9, 3. No, just kidding.
Making it harder on our viewers
You're
to
gonna find
build
that
that
in
chart.
the comments later.
Tomb Raider. I'll go
4.4.
back and listen.
Kind of like pi. It has an end. It's an infinite.
ending.
What is
ending.
it?
No,
So what
it's
do you got?
4.5.
7, 5,
575.
8, 6, 7, 5, 3, 9.
Just to-
4.575.
Just to piss with Tom.
So 4.6.
Ye- so we're gonna roll
gotta
round up.
I'm gonna
for
round you
mouth.
up. If you want to go
For math.
if you want to go 5.5 or 0.55.
4.6.
Well, technically, in like math, you could write that line on top of the point, so it goes on forever.
4.6 it is. Tom.
4.6.
I'm a comic book fan. What am I kidding myself? I'll give it like a 4 point.
The silence.
4.8.
So I'm the asshole.
Yeah.
No,
No,
you're the
not the
grump.
asshole,
You're
the grump.
The grump.
I am the grump.
Because you're not an
Yeah, I am the
asshole for
grump.
having an opinion.
Yeah,
true.
but you are a grump
Yeah.
for rating at the least.
Because Russo's
That's fair.
Russo's got me. Russo's and this is part 1.
Here's
Yeah.
my salt coming out. If they had cast Peter Dinklage differently, it would have been a 4.9.
I was
For
gonna
me,
say he was my
Corey,
my special.
You can't hide behind that windscreen.
Yes, again.
For me, if I got more Cap,
If it was
I would have.
It would have been 5.
If it was
for me.
another
Those
hour
two things, I
longer,
would have been
much higher.
5.
it was another hour
Yeah.
longer, I
Yeah.
probably would have been a 5.
There's a lot of things that I would have liked to have.
It didn't even
seen
need to be
more
that
explanation.
much. I feel
Yeah.
like it could have been like 20 minutes more.
I'm
It'd
okay
still be
with
a
long
reasonable
movies.
runtime.
I'm
Yeah.
totally okay with long movies.
I love long movies.
Yeah.
Like-
Give me more Cap.
For those of you playing the home
okay.
game, we'd love to know what your ratings are. Again, the way we do it,
Please.
5 stars means you wouldn't change a damn thing.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can
Let us
I-
know.
Can I just like splurge and like let
Yeah.
it out? Just be
Yeah.
like the part when freaking Tony Stark like has the knife out and then he just breaks it and stabs him. I was like, oh my god! It was like it was a super dope moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Also,
then
the part where he rips off his helmet and then the nanoparticles make a new
Start
helmet.
making-
when Doctor
Yeah.
Strange goes full Zenyatta mode,
the arms.
and then
I totally
1,000
forgot
of them-
about
That was
that.
good. That
And
was
then
good.
The reveal of the new Iron Man suit, I was just like,
and he pulls out the suit.
Dude, Doctor Strange going Zenyatta for me.
That was pretty good.
I
Just-
had a raging nerd on.
What I
Thanos
thought
threw
of
a freaking
immediately.
spirit bomb at Doctor Strange and he caught it and threw a prism back at him. And then Thanos did like one of those galaxy punches. I was like, oh my God, this is like the fight sequence that we needed
Yeah.
and deserved.
yeah.
But it's
the same
also pretty swell when Quill like flips off Thanos and jumps into
Oh.
a portal.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
the back jump.
Or
Loved it.
the end
What was that,
credit
Corey?
with
back jump.
when
There it is.
when Nick Fury's like mother death.
Oh, I love Spider-Man when he's going, magic help. Need
Yeah.
He's like,
Kick with the punch with magic. Kick with the magic.
magic help.
Magic help. Kick the punch. Kick the magic.
Also, Spider-Man's little. Oh, we're using our made-up names.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm Spider-Man.
I know you hated it, Corey, but I really like Drax when he's like, my movements are so slow.
I said I loved it.
Yeah, he said he loved it.
I
You
hated
say
Bruce
that
Banner.
Bruce Banner doing that. I don't know.
I would have hated Bruce Banner doing that. Drax makes perfect
That's-
sense.
I mean-
See, Drax is like the perfect kind of idiot for me, like where he's like, and then gets hit. Immediately, I'm just like,
yeah.
Oh,
Have we mentioned?
The bill is always due.
comment.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So, because I've heard comments about this kind of movie where it's just there's so much going on, but I was noticing it as I was reading through the comic after watching the
Words.
movie. It's like, comics are kind of like that. It's kind of like, meanwhile,
Yeah.
here's what else is
They
going
just throw
on.
you back
They
in.
literally say
Meanwhile.
meanwhile.
Meanwhile, oh, and this,
And they're over
this
here
issue,
kicking
this
names and taking ass.
Oh, when
Yeah.
fucking Thanos beat the shit out of Hulk was one of the dopest
Well,
things.
now Hulk has a complex because of it. He's never lost really.
The thing is that like
Yeah.
Hulk, in terms of pure strength, like Thanos Hulk and Thor threw blows during Ragnarok. They just like haymakers left and right.
Yeah.
Thanos used that Captain America fighting technique, and it was like actually blocked, hit him in like the throat,
Yeah, he
and then
was
like threw him in.
fast.
I'm like, this is amazing. Like, and it was just
speed
it was great.
because in Infinity
It
Gauntlet,
was pretty good.
the first people to fight Thanos are Drax and Hulk,
Yeah.
quote unquote heavy hitters. But then the actual true heavy hitter is Thor. Thor
Yeah.
is again
Leagues.
God upon amongst Hulk
Right.
and
I do want to
Drax.
say, I hope that this whole Hulk complex thing, where Hulk seems to be getting
It's a
smarter
Dan
as
Harmon
well.
thing.
Dan, is it?
Dan Harmon, I think, is the one person that like I'll make this person like weak, so it's a development thing.
But here's the thing: I'm hoping we get Grey Hulk sometime down the road. Yes.
At the end of the credits, it says Arrested Development character.
Yeah, Tobias.
Oh, yeah.
Tobias is in there. Yeah.
Tobias.
He has his blue man look,
the
where he's
collector.
all blue. He's in the collector's like
collection.
thing. And you know what's funny?
I saw it the second time.
James Gunn, I think, just set that stage up for whenever the collector has something. It's like, let's put an Easter egg in there.
Okay.
Because that's where
Yep.
they put the first Adam
Howard,
Warlock Easter
and
egg.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, and Howard the Duck, and then they put Tobias in there. And the reason why is because the Russo brothers directed the pilot and 14 episodes of Arrested Development.
Yep.
So I just wanted to splurge a little bit and kind of like, oh,
This is
nerd
one of
high.
those things
It was
that
pretty
I
good.
don't feel complete because
because
I feel this episode is complete because we could have a
We could keep
4-hour
going.
episode.
speaking of completing,
Yeah.
the ending with Thanos just being in his like little thing, like you and
Oh,
I
I
both
know.
laughed about that because it was like that's exactly how the comic ends. It's just
we
like-
were
and
watching
he
it with my
smiles.
wife, and she goes, "I don't what?" And it's like, no, you don't understand. That actually happens in the comic books. He doesn't retire, but it's just like he's on his little cabin in the woods, and he like that's where he kind of finds himself,
Yeah,
and he puts his like Thanos armor as a fucking scarecrow.
yeah,
Like he just fucking, I'm out, world.
Peace
I'm
out.
off the grid,
yeah.
and I'm like, I'd be interested to see a little something like that because he's like, I did what I wanted to do.
Well,
I'm done.
You
Latest
just want to
mission.
watch Thanos like cook acorn soup and talk to squirrels.
Squeak, squeak. Squeaker, squeaker.
It leaves
Squeak 'em.
it leaves a really weird thing because this is the like first planet that we don't see a title for where they're at.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
And then
Yeah.
so we don't know where Thanos is, and he is content. He has ultimate power.
He's doing exactly what he
still,
said. He wants to watch the sunrise.
he's still wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, but he's like at peace.
He's
so
all burnt up
now
on
you're gonna
his
have all these
side.
heroes coming with revenge, right? So it's
Yeah.
gonna be like really interesting how they're gonna try to villainize. Like,
I wonder if
someone
he's
who
gonna
found
fight.
He's
peace.
going to, I think, this. We don't speculate.
Yeah.
I
Nope.
know.
Just
We
leave
don't
it.
speculate.
We'll be
We'll
here
talk
another
on-
half hour.
This would be more of
If
a
you'd like to hear
nerdgasm.
more of our thoughts, you can join our Patreon and join
Yeah.
our Discord, and we can talk.
Continue the
we can-
conversation online.
We can speculate for days.
Well, that's what we
Days
sometimes
on
do
end.
on our nerdgasm conversations. We're just like, oh, they could do this, they could do that, but we don't do that here.
No,
Yeah.
Just
But-
like we don't really review things. We just talk about things.
we
Not
nerd out
yet.
about them.
Yeah.
One might say.
Anyway.
One might say we
We don't review movies.
we
and
nerd on
entertainment.
about
That's
them.
fair.
I mean,
We
it'd be-
on and
review
on and on and on.
products.
It'd be cool in terms of speculation if people like they wanted it, then they let us know if they do actually want our speculations or not. It's something that's not in our current role, but then
Yeah,
if you
that
guys
is
want
true.
If you
added
do want it,
content,
let us know.
Yeah,
let us know. Slip and slide.
We
in the
could just do
DMs.
speculation episodes.
Speculation Saturdays.
Yeah.
Speculation
but yeah.
Saturdays.
Yeah.
I feel complete.
I feel
I feel complete in that sense.
feel
Based
like I
on
have all
all
the
Feel
gems.
as
Yeah.
close to complete as I can be.
Thank you all.
As always. No. Sorry.
I was like, easy there, partner.
Sorry.
You just snap
I
real quick
forgot.
and just-
It's
You
like
just,
Pavlov's
it was about
dog.
to be the
The
snapping
snappening.
2.0.
It's like Pavlov's dog. You just say, as always, everybody goes, nerd on.
Yeah.
You can find all of our information on our website, nerdonthepodcast.com. Everything's there. All of our various social medias.
YouTube's, Twitches, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Also, a
Leaders.
huge thank you for Caitlyn
Yeah.
joining us.
Joining
Helping us revamp some
Inaugural
stuff. And
podcast episode
How do
featuring
you-
Caitlyn.
do you
What
feel
episode are we brought
complete?
in on?
How about?
What an episode to like make your first like
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
I know. 10 years in the making.
yeah.
Yeah. Universes collide.
How do you feel? Do you feel complete?
I'm feeling pretty complete right
There
now.
it is.
There it is.
Feeling pretty complete.
You know what? Actually, you all know our social medias. You know, like I'm
'Cause we've plugged
just
it a
Josh
million-
and you. We've
a
plugged
billion.
it for months.
Caitlyn.
Millions.
I think Caitlyn should drop her social medias.
All right. I knew this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me online at Boobs McBalrog.
Yeah, you can.
That's BOOBSMCBALROG.
Dope.
That's right.
Done.
On everything.
On everything.
On everything, yeah.
Everything
my
on
Twitch,
everything
my
on everything.
YouTube,
You have to
my
have
all the
them on
social media.
Facebook, my Insta,
Medias?
Nice.
Media?
Vine.
So
Rip.
find her, follow her.
Yeah.
If you want to talk to us, like specifically, get in that Patreon life. And you get like a specific Discord server
Code.
to
Yeah.
us.
We just
Chat it up.
talk. We
We'd
post
hang out.
our toys and games and
And we post videos to Patreon too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But anyway.
bonus content.
Thank you so much for listening. That's the biggest thing. Thank you so much for listening. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing that you can do to support us is to listen and share with your friends and family.
Yeah.
But as always,
Nerd on.
broadcast.